Chapter 3368. Although Wan Ren had already fallen, the two celestial body origins that he controlled had not left his body. Instead they stayed where they were, looking confused. Are you after the two fire origins in his body? This king will not let you have your way. Seeing Night Sorrow flying towards Wan Ren's body, the crowned king of frost revealed a cruel smile. Then he unleashed an ultimate technique at Yishang's location. Frost Storm Slash. Instantly, countless ice spears flew towards Night Sorrow's position. Moreover, the surrounding space was completely sealed. Although Night Sorrow's movement techniques were pretty good, and he had learned them from Yen Hengshi and Yen Hengshi respectively, there was no way he could dodge the countless ice spears. Knowing that he could not dodge with his movement techniques, Night Sorrow immediately controlled his golden heavenly halberd and desolation war halberd to attack the ice spears in the sky. He used the flames in the sky to fight against King of Frost's ice spears. This move was quite effective at the beginning, but it only lasted for a while before it lost its momentum and was suppressed by the ice spears. In the blink of an eye, over 100 ice spears smashed into Yi Chang's body. His body was blasted away. He slid a long distance in the void. "Ant, you are just an ant." Die. Ice Age. Seeing that Night Sorrow was sent flying by the ice spears and was still enduring the attacks, King of Frost's eyes shot out two even more terrifying ice arrows. These two ice arrows carried an endless chill, as if they could freeze heaven and earth. It gave people the feeling that it could bring time and space back to the Ice Age. In Yishang's opinion, this Ice Age was much stronger than the Ice Age. The two couldn't even be mentioned in the same breath. However, he did not panic. Instead, he took out the Silver Dragon Void Shield that Vice Dean Jishen had given him to defend himself. He also used his blood to completely activate the Green Phoenix battle armor. At the same time, he used the 3300 words mantra. Finally, he summoned the Dragon of Virtue to block this attack with all his might. Night Sorrow could tell how powerful this move was. Seeing that Night Sorrow had used all his moves to block Ice Age, King of Frost laughed disdainfully. "You and Ant can't block this attack no matter what. Prepare to die." As soon as he finished speaking, he pointed at the Ice River and said, "Release the power of the Ice River." As the Frost Sacred Monarch summoned an even more frightening power from the Ice River, the two ice arrows, including the Ice Age, became even more frightening. The two ice arrows landed on the Silver Dragon Void Shield at the same time. Although the Silver Dragon Void Shield was at the third grade of the Half-Step Supreme Realm and was supported by Night Sorrow's Force of Virtue, it was still shattered into pieces. After the two ice arrows broke through the Silver Dragon Void Shield's defense, they shattered Night Sorrow's Blue Phoenix armor. Yishang's body was almost completely obliterated by this attack. However, Night Sorrow laughed even though he was heavily injured. "What are you laughing at? Are you going to meet your death in a crazed state?" Frost Sacred King asked disdainfully when he saw Yishang slowly stand up from the void with a smile on his face. The way he saw it, Yi Sorrow was so severely injured that he didn't even need to continue attacking. Yi Sorrow definitely wouldn't be able to survive. At this moment, Night Sorrow looked behind King of Frost and said, "Look behind you and you'll understand why I'm laughing." King of Frost didn't turn around when he heard this. Instead, he used his divine spirit to check. Immediately, he discovered that an extremely scorching flame had appeared behind him. As it turned out, when Night Sorrow was receiving Ice Age's attack, he had secretly used the Eternal Divine Tower to secretly approach Wan Ren's body with the power of the 7 celestial origins, allowing the 9 celestial origins to combine into one. Under King of Frost's carelessness, the Eternal Divine Tower successfully combined the 9 celestial origins. They formed a brand new fire origin. After the fire origin appeared, it directly turned into a fire arrow and shot towards King of Frost. This fire arrow's strength was similar to the two ice arrows that King of Frost had shot out earlier. It also contained similar Taoist rhymes. This made King of Frost frown instantly. He thought for a moment and shot out the two ice arrows from Ice Age again. "It's useless. The ice crown will break." Facing King of Frost's attack, the fire origin seemed to make a judgment. Then the ice crown on King of Frost's head was directly shattered. In an instant, the ice river below them also started to melt. As the ice river started to melt, King of Frost instantly felt his strength weakening. Soon he dropped from Half-Step Supreme Realm 5th grade to Half-Step Supreme Realm 4th grade. Then he dropped again to Half-Step Supreme Realm 3rd grade. At this moment, Night Sorrow summoned Yen Hongmei and the rest. "Here's our chance to kill King of Frost. Don't worry, leave the rest to us." Yen Hongmei and the rest, who knew that Night Sorrow was seriously injured, realized that their chance had come and all attacked King of Frost fiercely. Although King of Frost tried his best to resist, as the ice river melted, his strength dropped too much. Before long he was killed by everyone and finally turned into a drop of water. The drop of water that King of Frost turned into is good stuff. It contains his life essence. Boss Night Demon, use it to absorb and recover your body. The one who obtained the drop of water was Green Leopard. He did not hesitate to give it to Night Sorrow. No one objected to this. After thinking for a moment, Night Sorrow took the drop of water and said, "Thank you, everyone. I won't stand on ceremony then." He knew that although he could rely on the Leaken's power to slowly recover his body, but to completely recover it would take a lot of time. And the time left for them to break the barrier in the sky was only a few decades. They did not allow any delay. Thus, he did not stand on ceremony and accepted the drop of water. At this moment, Night Sorrow looked into the void and discovered that the fire origin that shattered the frost crown had already become a small flame like a candle flame due to excessive consumption. He immediately flew over and stored it in the Eternal Divine Tower to recuperate. He also thanked him. However, the fire origin that had turned into a small flame did not respond at all. Clearly it had consumed too much energy. After everything was settled, Yen Hongmei looked at Night Sorrow and said, "Brother Night Demon, recover your body first. Let's try to attack the barrier in the sky and see if we can succeed." "Alright. You guys go ahead and try. My injuries are a little serious this time. I need some time to recover." After saying that, Night Sorrow set up a formation in the void. Then he absorbed the remaining energy of King of Frost. As for King of Frost, because he had not completely died, he did not convert it into power of merit. While Night Sorrow was recovering, Yen Hongmei, Green Leopard, and the Brute King began to attack the barrier in the sky. www. Chapter 3369. After launching a series of attacks on the barrier in the sky, Yen Hongmei and the rest quickly realized that their abilities were insufficient. This was because their attacks did not cause any damage to the barrier. The attacks that hit it were like water droplets that merged into the sea, unable to cause any waves. After continuously trying for an hour, Yen Hongmei sighed and said, "Let's wait for Brother Night Demon. It looks like it's very difficult for the three of us to cause any damage to the barrier. Yes. We can only place our hopes on Boss Night Demon. If he can't do it, we might die in a few decades. After all, the fire origin is completely useless. Without protection we can't withstand the mass burial glacial ice." As Barbarian King spoke, he looked at where Night Sorrow was in seclusion. However, he could not see Night Sorrow's situation at all. After Barbarian King finished speaking, Green Leopard frowned and said, "I don't know what we can do to help. We can't rely on Boss Night Demon for everything, right? Wouldn't we be useless then?" "What you said makes sense, but in this situation what can we do?" Barbarian King said helplessly. In his opinion, the three of them could only place their hopes on Night Sorrow. At this moment, Green Leopard said in a deep voice, "Although we don't have the ability to break the barrier, we can find resources for him in the melting glacial river or the mass burial starfield. This is better than standing there foolishly." "Alright." Hearing this, Yen Hongmei responded and looked at the almost melted glacial river beneath her feet. "We'll sneak into the glacial river and find resources for Brother Night Demon. If we can't find anything, we'll go to other places in the mass burial starfield to find resources. We can't just wait for him to do everything." "Alright, it's decided then. I'll take the lead, you guys follow." Green Leopard said and jumped into the glacial river first. In his opinion, the glacial Holy Spirit should be born from this glacial river. There might be some treasures in the glacial river. After Green Leopard jumped in, Barbarian King followed behind while Yen Hongmei was in charge of bringing up the rear. They did not hesitate and all jumped in. However, the moment they entered, the three of them suffered a little because although the glacial river had melted, the temperature was still very low. Although they were all experts half a step into the limitless realm, they couldn't take it at all. That bone-piercing coldness made their hearts palpitate. Not long after, the three of them came up one after another. If they didn't come up, they would probably be frozen in the river. After looking at each other, the Barbarian King asked doubtfully, "What do you think is in this ice river? Why is it so cold? Even us half-step Lameters can't take it. In my opinion, there should be something extraordinary down there." The Ice River Holy Spirit and the Ice Holy Spirit must have been born from it. Yen Hongmei speculated, "It's very likely to be some amazing material. If it's like what you said, there are materials down there." It was definitely a Lameter-level material. After all, many of the Holy Frost spirits it had nurtured were at the half-step supreme stage. Those who aren't at the Lemiter realm definitely won't be able to produce it. Green Leopard said excitedly. What's the point of being agitated? Even if there is one down there, we can't take it out. We might need Brother Night Demon to investigate this matter. Yin Hongmei said helplessly. She was very confident in her judgment, but she also knew that even if there were Lemiter materials below, they wouldn't be able to retrieve them. They could only look at where Night Sorrow was. At this moment, Night Sorrow was still recovering in the array formation. The three of them had no choice but to search for resources in the mass burial star zone. However, after searching for 30 years they didn't find anything. They returned to where the ice river was. At this moment, the three of them started to panic when they saw that Night Sorrow hadn't come out of seclusion. After all, there were only about 60 years left for them. Night Sorrow might cultivate until then. At this moment, the Barbarian King said, if Lord Night Demon doesn't come out in another 30 or 40 years, how about we wake him up? Let's wait another 40 years. If he still doesn't come out, we can only wake him up. After all, time waits for no man. Yin Hongmei looked at where Night Sorrow was and said. In fact, Night Sorrow had already been recovering and cultivating in the Eternal Divine Tower for about 300 years. After 300 years of recovery, his body had completely recovered. At this moment, he was absorbing the water droplet that the Ice Holy King had turned into. On the surface, the water droplet was only the size of a fingernail. However, the energy and Taoist rhymes it contained were not weak at all. Night Sorrow had been absorbing it for 300 years and still hadn't completely taken it down. 300 years in the Eternal Divine Tower is 30 years in the real world. There are still 60 years before the next mass burial star. I'm afraid I only have 50 years at most. In other words, 500 years in the Eternal Divine Tower. 500 years should be enough. After absorbing for 300 years, Night Sorrow came back to his senses for a moment. He observed the fire origin and realized that although it had grown, it was still a weak flame with an ordinary appearance. After that, he entered the Eternal Divine Tower again to absorb the water droplet that the Ice Holy King had turned into. After Night Sorrow fully immersed himself in it, time passed very quickly. In the blink of an eye, 500 years had passed. In total, he had spent more than 800 years in the Eternal Divine Tower. Night Sorrow finally completely absorbed the water droplet that the Ice Holy King had turned into. After completely absorbing the water droplet, Night Sorrow felt that his control of the ice attribute had improved greatly. This gain was not inferior to obtaining the Jielin bloodline at all. Phew. It's time to go out and try to break the barrier in the sky. After spending a year to practice his gains, Night Sorrow left the Eternal Divine Tower completely. Seeing Night Sorrow appear, Barbarian King immediately shouted, "Boss Night Demon, you finally appeared. We have a major discovery." What did you discover? Night Sorrow asked curiously. He had spent a total of 800 years in the Eternal Divine Tower. During this period he had not paid attention to the outside world. Boss Night Demon. We discovered that there might be a supreme grade material in this fused ice river. Green Leopard rushed to reply. Are you sure? Night Sorrow looked at the three of them and confirmed. Regardless of who it was, supreme level materials were no small matter. If he could find it here, he naturally wouldn't want to miss it. According to our analysis, it should exist. After Night Sorrow asked, Yin Hongmei told him about their speculation. After explaining, she continued, but now we only have slightly more than 10 years left. Time is too tight. How about this? I'll bring you guys and spend a year and a half to explore below. Hearing this, Night Sorrow thought for a moment and said. He felt that their analysis made sense. Chapter 3370. If a supreme grade material really existed, then it would be a great opportunity for him. Whether it was Night Sorrow or the others, they couldn't miss it. Although there was still more than 10 years before the mass burial frost arrived, they still had to take the risk. Moreover, after absorbing the Frost Sage King's energy, he seemed to be less afraid of the cold. After deciding to explore the ice river, Night Sorrow looked at the three of them and said, "Everyone enter my space grotto heaven, I'll bring you down. If we can really obtain an extreme grade material, I won't take it all for myself." Lord Night Demon, you're too polite, there's no need to do this. If we don't have the ability to obtain the opportunity, then we're not fated. Hearing this, although the Barbarian King was very touched, he still declined. Qing Bao and Yin Hongmei were the same. Although they were tempted, they felt that if they didn't have the ability to obtain it, then the opportunity hadn't arrived. Seeing the three of them like this, Night Sorrow continued, We're all friends, there's no need to be so polite. If you're fated with me, then you're fated with the opportunity. Also, we might not be able to come up in 10 years. What do you mean? If we don't come up in 10 years, won't we welcome the mass burial frost? Hearing this, Yin Hongmei immediately asked in confusion. If there really is an extreme grade material with the ice attribute and we successfully obtain it, then I'm confident that we can withstand the impact of the mass burial frost. It's just that we used fire in the past, this time we might need to use ice. Night Sorrow said. He felt that if he could stay in the cold ice river for a long time, he could use the power of ice in the ice river to avoid the impact of the mass burial frost. This was the confidence he had obtained from absorbing the Frost Sage King's energy. The current him felt that the ice river in front of him had become very intimate and was no longer as cold as before. After Night Sorrow finished speaking, the barbarian king, Qing Bao, and the others were puzzled and chose to enter his space grotto heaven. Now they still trusted Night Sorrow completely. After the three of them entered, Night Sorrow said, "After I absorbed the Frost Sage King's energy, my ability to resist the cold has increased a lot. Although it can't compare to the Frost Sage King, it should not be inferior to ordinary Frost Sage spirits." After explaining, he dived into the ice river. As soon as he entered the ice river, Night Sorrow felt a bone-piercing chill. But very quickly he unleashed the power of the Frost Sage King to resist the cold. Immediately, a large portion of the ice was dissolved, and the remaining bit was forcefully withstood with his body. Then, under the gazes of the three people, he began to dive down bit by bit. The size of this ice river exceeded everyone's expectations. Although Yi Shan had sensed the aura of a supreme-grade material after diving in, he still felt that there was a considerable distance between him and a supreme-grade material after diving for 3 whole years. If I'm not wrong, we might have to stay in the ice river for a long time. It could be 100 years or even 1,000 years. As long as we can withstand the mass burial frost, it doesn't matter how long we stay. However, would the ice river be sealed by the mass burial frost? After all, it was previously in a frozen state. It was only because we broke it open that it melted. After Night Sorrow finished speaking, Yin Hongmei transmitted her voice to him. In her opinion, the only obstacle was the mass burial frost that was about to arrive. If the ice river would be completely frozen when it arrived, then Night Sorrow would very likely be sealed in the ice river. None of them would have an easy time. According to my judgment, when the mass burial frost arrives, a portion of the ice river above will be frozen. However, the ice river will probably not be moved. Our safety should not be a problem for a short period of time. However, if we want to leave in the future, we will have to break through the thick layer of ice. As the infiltration continued, Night Sorrow voiced his judgment. In this ice river, other than the aura of a supreme-grade material, he could not sense any other life forms. He felt a little lonely. It was in this state of loneliness that Yi Shang went into hiding for another decade or so. He also encountered the mass burial frost. Just as he had predicted, although the mass burial frost was terrifying, it only froze the ice river for 100,000 feet. The position he was in was not affected by any life forms, and the temperature of the ice river did not change much. He who had absorbed the Ice Sage King's energy could completely withstand it. After the mass burial frost passed, Night Sorrow transmitted his voice, "The mass burial frost has passed. We can continue exploring. Since the mass burial frost is not a threat, then we have plenty of time," Yin Hongmei said excitedly. To her, this was a completely unexpected surprise. The Brute Emperor and Green Leopard were also in a similar mood. There was no time limit, and this was definitely a good thing for them. Then Night Sorrow continued diving. This time he dived for more than 300 years. On this day, after 300 years, Night Sorrow finally reached the bottom of the ice river. We've finally reached the bottom. However, this is not the location of the supreme grade material. We still have to continue searching. After stepping onto the ice, Night Sorrow said a few words to the others and began to search for Lemmeter materials. Following the aura, Night Sorrow walked at the bottom of the ice river for 70 to 80 years. Finally, he found the supreme grade material in a valley at the bottom of the ice river. However, just as he found it, Night Sorrow, Yin Hongmei, and the rest were all shocked. That was because the supreme grade material at the bottom of the ice river suddenly came to life after they appeared and turned into a gigantic ice dragon. And this ice dragon's aura was infinitely close to the supreme grade. Then the ice dragon released a huge oppressive force. "You're the one who killed the Ice Sage King?" The ice dragon's aura was released, and it immediately gave Night Sorrow a huge impact. He was almost frozen on the spot. After a while he admitted, I'm the one who killed him. Night Sorrow knew that the ice dragon in front of him should be a peak half-step Supreme Grade 5. It was only a thin layer away from advancing to the Supreme Grade. Such an existence was no longer something that ordinary half-step Supreme Grade could fight against. However, he was already prepared to fight and was unwilling to give up resisting. Since you're the one who killed the Ice Sage King, then you've obtained an opportunity of mine. Tell me, what do you want? The ice dragon suddenly said word by word. Hearing that, not only Night Sorrow, but Yin Hongmei and the rest were also surprised. They did not expect things to turn out this way at all. After pondering for a moment, Night Sorrow asked, Senior, what does the opportunity you're talking about include? The opportunity I'm talking about includes a piece of extreme frost mystic ice. This piece of extreme frost mystic ice can be used to refine a small Supreme Grade divine weapon. It also includes helping you guys. However, I'll only help once. The ice dragon looked at Night Sorrow and said. Being stared at by the ice dragon, Night Sorrow felt as though he had turned into prey. However, he was excited and said hurriedly, I don't want the resource. Chapter 3371. Oh, you can give up the Supreme State resources? Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Ice Dragon immediately asked in return. Compared to freedom, I'm afraid no resources are important. I choose to let you help us open the barrier. Let us return to the endless star field from the mass burial star field. Night Sorrow said without hesitation. Martial Yin Yang manga. For him, he could find Supreme State resources again, but this might be the only chance to leave the mass burial star field. Therefore, after Ice Dragon spoke, he made such a choice. You know how to choose. If you don't choose this, it will take at least 3 years for you to leave with your own strength. Ice Dragon immediately said after Night Sorrow made his choice. After he finished speaking, Yin Hongmei and the others realized that Night Sorrow's choice was very correct. Originally, they thought it was a pity not to choose the Supreme State material, extreme cold mysterious ice. Night Sorrow looked at Ice Dragon and said gratefully, Thank you, Senior. We won't tell anyone that you are here. It doesn't make a difference whether we tell anyone or not. The people who should know will still know that I'm here. Ice Dragon sighed. Night Sorrow glanced at Ice Dragon and asked doubtfully, Senior, are you troubled? Being used as a divine weapon material by Supremacy Annihilation, don't you think I should be troubled? Ice Dragon said helplessly, then continued, All right, that's enough. I'll send you out. He was a divine weapon material that Supremacy Annihilation thought highly of. Putting him in the mass burial star field was equivalent to raising a pet. After he came out of seclusion, he would start refining it and make it into his own Supreme State divine weapon. Now that the 3 Supreme Supremacies have not awakened, why don't you leave since you have the ability to break out of the mass burial star field? Night Sorrow immediately asked doubtfully after Ice Dragon finished speaking. Do you think that Supremacy Annihilation will not leave a restriction in an area that I have the ability to break out of? Ice Dragon shook his head and said, Besides, even if I can escape, where can I escape to? The world in front of us, and even the other realms, will become the property of the 3 Supreme Supremacies. Me or you who can escape from their evil clutches. His words were incomparably pessimistic. But after Night Sorrow heard it, he could empathize with her. After thinking for a while, he said, Senior, as long as people are alive, there is hope. If you can successfully advance to the Lamita realm, perhaps everything will be different. He didn't directly mention the 3 Supreme Venerables, nor did he mention Yen and Yen Hengshi, because this was the first time he had met Ice Dragon, and he couldn't completely trust him. I hope so. I'll send you off. Ice Dragon said and returned to the ice river with Night Sorrow and the others. Attacking the barrier, a vortex-shaped portal was blasted open in an instant. He then looked at Night Sorrow and said, This is what I can do for you. What you need to do for me is to protect my home. My home is in the extreme cold of the fog region. If you promise me that you will do it, I will let you go. Senior, don't worry. I'll do as you say. We will do our best to protect your home. When Night Sorrow heard this, he understood what Ice Dragon meant and naturally chose to agree. At this time, Ice Dragon continued, You don't have to protect my home, just help protect my people. I can see that your talent is very outstanding. As long as you are not targeted by the 3 Supreme Venerables, you will definitely be able to do this. I'm not sure if I will be targeted by the 3 Supreme Venerables. But Senior has helped me, so I will do my best to complete your request. After Night Sorrow finished speaking, he led Yin Hongmei and the others to bid farewell to Ice Dragon and flew toward the vortex-shaped teleportation array. After leaving the vortex-shaped teleportation array, Night Sorrow, Yen Hongmei, and the others did not appear in the endless star field. Instead, they appeared halfway up the mountain of flames. Night Sorrow could easily resist flames of this level. Looking at the top of the mountain, he thought to himself, when my fog-breathing technique reaches the 10th level, I will choose to climb to the top and completely complete the hidden mission. Let's see what rewards I can get. At this time, the Barbarian King said excitedly in Night Sorrow's space grotto heaven, "Ha ha ha. After so many years we finally left that damn place. Lord Night Demon, if I remember correctly, this is the Mountain of Flames, right?" "Yes. This is the Mountain of Flames. What plans do you have for the few of you?" After calming down, Night Sorrow asked and added, "If you have your own matters to attend to, I won't force you to stay. The agreement inside can be completely cancelled." "There's no need to cancel it. We will all work for you." Hearing this, Green Leopard hurriedly said. The Barbarian King also said, "So much time has passed. We just came out and were very confused. It's better to follow Lord Night Demon." Yen Hongmei thought for a moment and said, "My enemy is Nangong He. My only goal is to kill her. Lord Night Demon, if you can help, I'm willing to serve you. I have enmity with Nangong He and Andrew. I will definitely make a move against them in the future." After saying this, Night Sorrow looked at the Barbarian King and asked, "Barbarian King, why did you go in?" "I didn't offend the 3 deans. Instead, I offended an extremely talented student. This student has the talent to break through to the extreme realm. Although it was his fault at that time, the Academy chose to punish me," the Barbarian King said slowly, his words filled with resentment. "A student with the talent to break through to the extreme realm. What's his name? Is he also cultivating in the endless sea of stars?" The Barbarian King's words immediately aroused Night Sorrow's interest. However, after asking, he sighed because he thought of the longevity supremacy who had already fallen. He felt that even if he found someone with the talent to break through to the extreme realm, it would be useless. The Barbarian King didn't see Night Sorrow's disappointment and continued, "His name is Fan Tianming. People call him Tianming Lesser Supreme. When I was imprisoned he was already a 3rd grade half-step Supreme Venerable. Now I don't know what his strength is or where he is." "So that's how it is. Then everyone follow me back to the endless sea of stars. To tell you the truth, I just entered the academy not long ago. I'm a newcomer to the endless sea of stars." Night Sorrow didn't release the 3 of them. Instead, he brought them into the endless sea of stars and used a starship to fly toward planet Jielin. He knew that some of his friends should be with Jielin. However, after driving the starship to the periphery of planet Jielin, Night Sorrow immediately flew into a rage. Because at this time, planet Jielin was similar to Night Devil. All the buildings had been destroyed. Seeing the scene in front of him, Night Sorrow immediately sent a voice transmission to Jielin. "Jielin, can you receive it?" Chapter 3372. However, after Yi Shang sent the voice transmission, there was no response from Jielin even after a long time. He stood there and pondered for a moment before leaving the endless star ocean to look for Vice Dean Ji Xian. After all, before leaving, Vice Dean Ji Xian had promised to take care of Jielin and the others. On the way, Yen Hongmei asked, "Did the destroyed astral body belong to your friend?" "Yes. Not only is the owner of the astral body my friend, but my other friends were with her. I wonder how they are now." Night Sorrow thought of Bai Mei Sanren and the others and said worriedly. When he left, Bai Mei Sanren, Shen Yan, Ape Tianlai, and the others were all with Jielin. If something happened to Jielin, they would not be spared. "I hope Lord Night Devil's friends are all safe." The Barbarian King immediately comforted Yi Shang when he saw that his brows were furrowed in anger. He felt that Night Sorrow's killing intent was so terrifying that even a cultivator who was half a step to the Supreme Realm felt a chill in his heart. At this moment, Green Leopard said, "Lord Night Devil, whether your friends are fine or not, we will help you kill them." "You're right. This time, whether my friends are dead or not, I will make the people who targeted us pay with their lives." As they flew towards Vice Principal Ji Xian's temporary residence, Yi Shang said each word clearly. Since he came to the middle courtyard, he had been targeted. He felt that it was time to teach them a lesson. The endless star ocean was not far from Vice Dean Ji Xian's palace. After leaving the middle courtyard, Night Sorrow quickly arrived outside the palace. At this moment, the 2 boys outside the palace had seen Yi Shang before. When they saw him, they immediately exclaimed, "Lord Night Devil, you came out of the disorderly burial star zone?" "It's me. Help me inform the teacher," Yi Shang ordered as he glanced at the 2 boys. Yes, Lord Night Devil. Although the two boys could not tell whether Night Sorrow was real or not, they still chose to report it. Not long after, Vice Dean Ji Shen personally flew out. He sized up Night Sorrow and found that it was indeed his real body. He immediately said excitedly, "Night Devil! You're out, you're really out. That's great. During the years you were gone, there wasn't a single day that this old man didn't think about you. Thank you for your concern, teacher. I wonder if Jialin and my other friends are with teacher?" Night Sorrow replied politely and went straight to the point. After the incident with Jialin's astral body, he stayed here to recuperate. But a few years ago something happened to your Night Demon Peak. She and your friend went to help. Vice Dean Ji Shen continued, "You don't have to worry. When she left, she took my jade talisman with her. Since it hasn't been activated yet, it probably hasn't encountered any danger." Although he didn't say much, he had already explained the general situation. Night Sorrow, who had heard everything, immediately expressed his gratitude. "Thank you, teacher, for saving Jialin and my friends. I'm going to look for them now. I'll catch up with you another day." "Go ahead. However, those people will definitely find trouble with you if they know that you came out of the Chaos Burial Star region. This is my jade talisman. If Andrew and Nangong make things difficult for you, you can summon me immediately. You have already regained your freedom and identity after coming out of the Chaos Burial Star region. They no longer have any reason to target you." As Ji Shen spoke, he took out a jade talisman and handed it to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow took the jade talisman and thanked him. "Thank you for taking care of me, teacher." Then he flew in the direction of Night Demon Peak. Although Jialin didn't summon Vice Dean Ji Shen, this didn't mean that everyone on Night Demon Peak was safe. The people he was most worried about were the cultivators of the Eternal Supreme World and the Eternal Ancient Desolate World. He was afraid that something would happen to Xiao Tianxian, the Myriad Sword Sect, and the others. On the way to Night Demon Peak, Night Sorrow asked, "Do the three of you have any connections with the Lin family?" "I know the Lin family, but I have nothing to do with them." Hearing this question, the Barbarian King immediately answered. Then Green Leopard also said, "I don't know anyone from the Lin family either, but I've heard that their power is very huge and they have a lot of foundation." "I have nothing to do with the Lin family," Yen Hongmei also said. "Very good. This time we should make a move on the Lin family and control all of their power." After Night Sorrow found out that the three of them had nothing to do with the Lin family, he immediately opened his mouth and said, "If something happened on Night Demon Peak, regardless of whether it was related to the Lin family or not, he was prepared to make a move at this time." According to the information he had heard, the Lin family didn't have many half-step Supreme Realm experts. There were only 2 known of them. With their current strength, they should be able to contend against them in terms of peak combat strength. If their tactics were right, they should be able to destroy them. After occupying their territory, Night Sorrow could hide Xiao Tianxian and the others in peace and let them cultivate properly. After all, the territory controlled by the Lin family was much larger than Night Demon Peak. In comparison, Night Demon Peak's target was too obvious. Hearing this, Yen Hongmei said, "This Lin family has developed for tens of millions of years. I'm afraid they have a foundation that we don't know about. They shouldn't be easy to deal with, right?" "They definitely have a foundation, but I have a way to get the support of a faction." As Yi Shang replied, he sped up his journey. At this moment, the Barbarian King asked, "By the way, Lord Night Demon, we've been trapped in the Chaos Burial Star Zone for so long. How much has the strength of the cultivators in the outside world grown? I remember that before I was imprisoned, the Lin family was a famous family in the fog area. Their strength was not to be underestimated. The old patriarch of the Lin family was also a general under Supremacy Mia. His strength was unfathomable. To be honest, I'm not too sure. But I have a reason to make a move." Night Sorrow thought about this question for a moment and did not say anything. However, the Barbarian King's words made him alert. He knew that the Lin family was definitely not as simple as they seemed on the surface. However, now that he had come out, he would definitely become the target of public criticism. Night Demon Peak would definitely be greatly affected, so he had to make a move against the Lin family. "Alright. Since Lord Night Demon wants to make a move against the Lin family, let's do it together." Hearing Night Sorrow's words, the Barbarian King said with a smile. Yen Hongmei and Qing Bao also did not object. "Thank you very much." Night Sorrow thanked them and then found that Night Demon Peak was already in front of him. So he said, "Let me see how my friends are doing first. Let's talk later." "Alright. Lord Night Demon, you should do your own things first," the Barbarian King replied. Night Sorrow responded and released his divine soul power to investigate the situation of Night Demon Peak. With this investigation, he found that there were many fewer people in Night Demon Peak. He immediately felt worried. Chapter 3373. Xiao Tianxian and many people from the Myriad Sword sect were not on Night Demon Peak. Jialin and Dancing Lady were not there either. However, Yunyi was there. Night Sorrow immediately found Yunyi, who was cultivating alone in his room, and asked, "Brother Yunyi, what happened in Night Demon Peak while I was away?" Brother Yi, you're back? Great, that's great." Seeing that Night Sorrow had returned, Yunyi immediately stood up excitedly. After greeting him, he continued, "Many things have happened in Night Demon Peak in the hundreds of years that you were away. First of all, those friends you brought started to become heavenly sovereigns after cultivating for more than 100 years. They started to become heavenly sovereigns from earthly sovereigns in just over 100 years? Hearing this, even Night Sorrow was a little surprised. Because Xiao Tianxian and the rest had improved so quickly that it was completely beyond his imagination. After all, when he first came to the foggy area, his cultivation had improved so quickly because of all kinds of resources. Now, the people from the two realms had not obtained any good resources yet. Yes, the speed of their strength improvement is completely shocking, and their foundations are very solid. Moreover, there are no flaws in their auras. No one can see any flaws. Yunyi continued to speak vaguely. What he meant was that Xiao Tianxian and the rest already had the aura of the foggy area, and no one could see their true identities. Hearing this, Night Sorrow suddenly understood and thought to himself, "It seems that Senior Yen Heng's foggy breathing technique is working. This cultivation method is really amazing. It's better than thousands of resources. Wonderful." Then he opened the dragon's eyes and observed Yunyi. He found that Yunyi was already at the peak of Upper Heavenly Sovereign, and was only a step away from half-step to Supreme Realm. He immediately asked, "Brother Yunyi, the speed of your strength improvement is also not bad. Is it because of the foggy breathing technique?" "Yes. In a situation where resources are limited, my strength can improve further because of the foggy breathing technique that you taught me. Practicing this breathing technique in the foggy area will yield twice the results with half the effort. It's very magical." Yunyi admitted and continued, "I think those friends of yours should also be able to improve their strength so quickly because of this cultivation method." Yes, this should be the case. At the same time, when they were in other realms, the spiritual energy was not as abundant as the foggy area. This should be one of the reasons. Right, where are they now? After Night Sorrow finished speaking, he asked about the whereabouts of Xiao Tianxian and the Myriad Sword sect. "We'll have to start from a few decades ago when we were ambushed by the Lin clan." Yunyi slowly told him about the battle between Night Demon Peak and the Lin clan. It turned out that one of Su Zhiqian's subordinates was a member of the Lin clan. Dozens of years ago, he returned home and told everyone about Night Sorrow's exile. After that, the Lin clan began to secretly attack Night Demon Peak while the Slaughterer Academy turned a blind eye to their actions. In the first ambush they sent out more than 200 heavenly sovereigns. In the past, Yunyi and his subordinates would definitely not be able to withstand the ambush of more than 200 heavenly sovereigns. However, dozens of years ago Xiao Tianxian, the Myriad Sword sect, and the rest had all become heavenly sovereigns. With their participation and the help of the formation, the people of Night Demon Peak defeated the ambushers of the Lin clan. After that, Yunyi went to the Slaughterer Academy for help. Although Night Sorrow was exiled, he found Jialin. After that, Jialin, Whirling Lady, Su Lei, and the rest began to bring people to Night Demon Peak. It was a big blow to the Lin clan who were targeting Night Demon Peak. However, the Lin clan later invited many experts from the Slaughterer Academy, which was a big blow to Night Demon Peak. As the pressure was greater, they felt that it was impossible to passively defend, so they brought Xiao Tianxian, the Myriad Sword sect, and the rest to infiltrate the Lin clan's territory and started to harass them. It was because of this that the Lin clan was in a terrible fix and kept tracking Jialin and the rest in their territory. As a result, Night Demon Peak was temporarily peaceful. How many of them went and where are they in the Lin clan? After hearing Yunye's words, Night Sorrow immediately asked. He felt that what Jialin and the rest were doing was too dangerous. If the enemies of the Lin clan and the Slaughterer Academy sent more half-step to Supreme Realm experts, they would be in danger of being completely wiped out. After all, heavenly sovereigns had no ability to resist half-step to Supreme Realm experts. The location they chose was at the Mirror Lake Island. It's at the edge of the Lin clan's territory, but there's a mine there. I'm not sure where they went now. However, they should have already infiltrated the Lin clan's territory. Also, I can confirm that they haven't been captured or killed. Yunyi voiced his own judgment. He wasn't sure about the whereabouts of Jie Lin and the rest. However, according to the informant's report, they shouldn't have been captured or killed. It's good that they're safe for now. Hearing this, Night Sorrow was slightly relieved. He said, "How many heavenly sovereigns can we gather now? Including the people from the 2 realms and those we recruited, we can gather more than 200 within half a month." Yunyi said. Although there were only about 100 heavenly sovereigns on Night Demon Peak, he could assemble a team of more than 200 heavenly sovereigns within half a month. Very good. Gather the team immediately. We're prepared to give up on Night Demon Peak and lead the team to attack the Lin clan. Night Sorrow said with certainty. According to his analysis, it should be very difficult to find Jie Lin and the rest. Why not besiege Wei to rescue Zhao and lead the team to attack the Lin clan and bring them great pressure? This way it would definitely relieve the pressure on Jie Lin and the rest. In addition, after making a big fuss, when they heard that he had returned and was leading a team to attack the Lin clan, they would naturally find a way to gather. Brother Yi, the number of heavenly sovereigns in the Lin clan is about 10 times more than us. It won't be easy to attack directly, right? Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Yunyi immediately reminded him. I know. However, with the Lin clan's influence and control such a large territory, their members must be very scattered. As long as we are fast enough, we can quickly get rid of some of them before they gather. Also, the number of heavenly sovereigns won't determine the outcome of the battle. Night Sorrow explained and continued, Brother Yunyi, quickly gather the men. Okay, I understand. Seeing that Night Sorrow was so confident, Yunyi responded and went to gather the team. In less than half a month, a battle team of 240 heavenly sovereigns was formed, and it appeared in front of Night Sorrow. Chapter 3374. Now, everyone, follow me to carry out a secret mission. Temporarily enter my eternal divine tower to cultivate. When we arrive, I'll tell everyone what to do. After Yunyi had gathered everyone, Night Sorrow didn't say anything to reminisce about the past. Instead, he directly gave orders to everyone. Naturally, he wouldn't bring more than 200 heavenly sovereigns to ambush the Lin clan's property. Therefore, he was prepared to put everyone into a spatial artifact and sneak into the Lin clan's territory to carry out a swift and decisive surprise attack. Being ambushed by Night Sorrow and the rest with more than 200 heavenly sovereigns was definitely different from being ambushed by Jie Lin and a few dozen people. Looking at the Lin clan's map and carefully analyzing it, Night Sorrow determined that it was impossible for the thousands of heavenly sovereigns to gather together for such a huge property. As long as they didn't attack the Lin clan's headquarters, they wouldn't encounter any excessive problems. Yes, Peak Master. After receiving Night Sorrow's orders, everyone, including Yunyi, instantly got ready. Not a single person had any objections. After all, everyone present knew that Night Sorrow was the backbone of Night Demon Peak. Very good. Xiaowu, take everyone into the tower. Let everyone adjust to their best condition. Everyone, including the cultivators from the 2 realms, got ready. Night Sorrow agreed and let the Eternal Divine Tower take everyone into it. Then, with Yunye's help, he gathered all the cultivators below the Heavenly Sovereign level and put them into the Eternal Divine Tower, allowing them to cultivate peacefully inside. He didn't want these people to suffer when the rear of Night Demon Peak was empty after they left. Before leaving, Night Sorrow glanced at Night Demon Peak and said to Yunyi, if nothing unexpected happens, Night Demon Peak will completely cease to exist in less than a year. Looks like Brother Yi is preparing to do something big. A trace of a smile appeared on Yunye's face. However, there was a faint trace of worry between his brows. Seeing Yunye's worry, Night Sorrow summoned Yen Hongmei, the barbarian king, and the green leopard from the space grotto heaven. Don't worry, Brother Yunyi. As long as we don't officially attack the Lin clan's headquarters, we won't encounter any difficulties. This wasn't blind confidence. These 3 friends of mine are all half-step Supreme Realm experts. What? We actually have 3 such powerful helpers? Yunyi was pleasantly surprised when he saw Yen Hongmei, Barbarian King, and Azure Leopard. He had never imagined that Night Sorrow, who had been exiled to the Mass Burial Star region for more than 200 years, would return with 3 powerful reinforcements. Ah, what kind of strong reinforcements are we? If we really fight, I'm afraid Boss Night Demon alone can kill all 3 of us. You might not know this, but he personally defeated an expert at the 4th rank of the quasi-supreme realm in the mass burial starfield. After Yunyi finished speaking, the barbarian king said with a smile. Then he, Qing Bao and the others introduced themselves to Yunyi. Knowing that Night Sorrow was now able to contend with a 4th stage half-step to the supreme realm, Yunyi was simply speechless. Seeing Yunyi's shocked expression, Night Sorrow said telepathically, "Actually, it's because of the power of merit. If I were to fight against an ordinary 4th stage cultivator, I would definitely be no match for him. Even if I were to fight against a 3rd stage Starlord of the Middle Academy, it would still be very difficult." "That's already impressive enough. I remember that before you left, you had a hard time fighting against a 2nd stage Su Zhiqian." Yunyi praised him telepathically. Su Zhiqian is different from ordinary 2nd stage Starlords. Those above him are the same. You can't judge them with ordinary eyes. In my opinion, if I were to fight against Su Zhiqian again, I would definitely not lose, but it would be impossible for me to win easily. Night Sorrow recalled his battle with Su Zhiqian and said with certainty. Many geniuses of the geniuses had gathered in the Middle Academy, so much so that Jielin and Huangji seemed mediocre. So, the geniuses of the Middle Academy are all so terrifying. He wondered how powerful the elders and grand elders of the academy would be. How powerful are the 3 supreme supremes? After calculating the strength of the Lu Tian Academy, Yunyi couldn't help but sigh. Obviously, the experts of the Lu Tian Academy were only the tip of the iceberg. However, even the tip of the iceberg was much stronger than the cultivators of the Eternal Supreme World and the Eternal Ancient Desolate World. In other words, they were much stronger than any other forces. Those below the Supreme Supremes are all ants. In the end, we still have to look at the top combat strength. Seeing that Yunyi was somewhat pessimistic, Night Sorrow immediately comforted him. At the same time, he also began to study the map of the Lin clan while flying. In the end, he chose the Lin clan's Divine Weapon Pavilion as his target. The Lin clan's Divine Weapon Pavilion was an important place for the Lin clan to forge and sell divine weapons. It had a rich reserve of resources and was usually guarded by some of the most powerful blacksmiths of the Lin clan. Is it risky to choose the Lin clan's Divine Weapon Pavilion? At this moment, Yen Hongmei looked at the map and said, "The Lin clan's Divine Weapon Pavilion was located in the central area of the Lin clan. It was only half a month's journey from the Lin clan's main camp. I want to make a move and make a show of strength. An ordinary place is not interesting." Night Sorrow transmitted his voice. At this moment, he had already come out of the Eternal Divine Tower and was using his speed to fly with everyone. "I understand. You are trying to attract the attention of the Lin clan so that they have no time to care about Jielin and the others." At this moment, Yunyi saw through Night Sorrow's intentions. Something like that. At the same time, it is also to make the Lin clan panic. It is like scratching an itch. It is not interesting at all. Night Sorrow looked into the distance and said, "They relied on flying here. It would take about 5 years to reach the Lin clan's Divine Weapon Pavilion. Therefore, his first destination was Mushui City, which was 7 days away. He was prepared to use the teleportation formation in Mushui City to complete the teleportation and quickly reach the central area of the Lin clan. However, just as he entered Mushui City, he found that the teleportation formation in the city had been sealed and no one was allowed to use it. Obviously, this was because of Jielin and the others. Now that the teleportation formation is sealed, what should we do? If we act rashly, we will alert the enemy, right?" Yunyi looked at the situation in front of him and said gloomily. At this moment, the barbarian king laughed and said, "Ha! It is just a few heavenly sovereigns. It is not that difficult. Boss Night Demon, let me out. I will settle the teleportation formation. It is best not to be discovered by anyone," Night Sorrow said as he summoned him out. "Don't worry. These heavenly sovereigns will not be able to cause any trouble in my hands," the barbarian king said with certainty. He took out a colorless and odorless liquid and threw it into the sky. Soon it started to rain in Mushui City. Chapter 3375. What kind of technique is this? Yunyi asked curiously when he saw that the barbarian king had summoned a downpour. Summoning wind and rain is just a small trick. The important thing is that although the rainwater is colorless and odorless, it can make cultivators below the half-step to Supreme Realm fall into the illusion brought about by the rainwater. We only need to wait for 15 minutes and we can safely use the teleportation formation. After the heavy rain fell, the barbarian king explained. He was somewhat proud of himself. Night Sorrow looked at it with the sea serpent's eye and praised, Well done, the illusion is indeed forming. Haha, I can't be compared to Lord Night Demon. The barbarian king was very humble in front of Night Sorrow. He stopped talking and waited for the illusion to form with the others. After 15 minutes, the barbarian king smiled and said, "Ha! It's time, let's go." "No hurry." At this moment, Night Sorrow suddenly said coldly, "What's wrong?" The barbarian king was puzzled when he heard this. A half-step to Supreme Realm Cultivator has discovered us. As Night Sorrow said this, he looked in a direction and said, "Come out." "You've discovered me?" After Night Sorrow said this, a female cultivator appeared from the void in the distance. "Are you from the Lin clan?" Night Sorrow asked coldly as he sized up the female cultivator with the sea serpent's eye. The female cultivator was a half-step to Supreme Realm Level 2, but her strength was not inferior to the barbarian king. She was about the same as Yen Hongmei and Qing Bao in the space. "I'm from the Lu Tian Academy and have nothing to do with the Lin clan." As the female cultivator replied, she looked warily at Night Sorrow and the barbarian king. As for the others, they were in Night Sorrow's space and did not appear, so she could not sense them. Compared to Night Sorrow, she was more afraid of the barbarian king. After all, Night Sorrow's cultivation was only at the level of a middle heavenly sovereign, while King Man was at the level of a half-step to the supreme realm. At this time, the barbarian king looked at the female cultivator and saw that her strength should be about the same as his. He sent a voice transmission to Night Sorrow, "Lord Night Demon, my raindrop illusion can only last for 15 minutes. Let's quickly take him down, and no one else will know that we used the teleportation array." "You don't have to do it." Night Sorrow replied telepathically. Then he looked at the female cultivator and said, "We can't expose the fact that we used the teleportation array. Make a heavenly oath and swear that if you don't tell anyone about this, I'll let you go." "You're just a heavenly sovereign. How arrogant." Hearing this, the female cultivator immediately shouted angrily. If it was the barbarian king who said this, she could consider giving him some face. "Female cultivator, you don't know what's good for you. Are you forcing us to attack?" The female cultivator obviously looked down on Night Sorrow, causing the barbarian king to immediately become furious. "You're his servant, and he's a disciple of a big family?" After the barbarian king spoke, the female cultivator immediately saw a clue. "Cut the crap. Do what I tell you to do. Otherwise you'll bring disaster upon yourself." After all, his means could only last for 15 minutes. The barbarian king didn't want to talk nonsense with the female cultivator at all. And the female cultivator had a stubborn personality. After being scolded by the barbarian king, she immediately said angrily, "Bring disaster upon myself? I'd like to see what abilities you master and serve in half." After saying that, she took out a 9-section whip made of the spines of 9 types of rare birds and beasts. She whipped it toward the barbarian king. "How dare you take the initiative to attack? You're courting death." Seeing that the female cultivator took the initiative to attack, the barbarian king roared and prepared to attack. At this moment, Night Sorrow said, "Her target is me. You can't keep up with her speed." Then he cast a divine essence trapping array at the female cultivator. He temporarily trapped her in it and then shot out the extreme flame mother gun. He said, "Judging from your cultivation aura, you should be from the endless sea of stars. You're a genius of the middle court, right? This time I won't attack you, but you have to swear immediately." At this moment, although his cultivation was only at the middle heavenly supreme level, after absorbing the energy of the Ice Saint King, his strength had increased a lot. Although the extreme flame mother gun didn't hit the array, it made the female cultivator's expression change instantly. Although the female cultivator felt that Night Sorrow's attack wouldn't kill her, if Night Sorrow and the barbarian king attacked together, she definitely wouldn't be able to defeat them. After thinking for a while, she looked at Night Sorrow angrily and said, "This time, you have the advantage in numbers. I Yun Qingxian admit defeat. The next time we meet there will be a battle between us. Do you dare to tell me your name?" "Night Demon." Night Sorrow looked at the female cultivator and said, "You're the Night Demon. You've come out of the disorderly burial star region?" Yun Qingxian immediately asked when she heard Night Sorrow say the name Night Demon. "Don't waste time. Swear a heavenly oath." At this moment, the barbarian king said angrily. If they delayed any longer, the duration of his illusion array would be over. "I swear a heavenly oath that I won't tell anyone about what happened today." Yun Qingxian said and swore a heavenly oath. "Let's go." After Yun Qingxian swore, Night Sorrow immediately looked at the barbarian king and said, Then the two ignored Yun Qingshen and used the teleportation array to leave. After Night Sorrow and the barbarian king left, Yun Qingshen said angrily, "The next time we meet in the endless sea of stars, I'll teach you a lesson." As one of the prodigies of the endless sea of stars, it was the first time she had been treated so indifferently. Naturally, she was very unhappy. Night Sorrow naturally didn't know about this. After he and the barbarian king teleported away from Mushui City, they used the same method to teleport continuously. Finally, after 7 days, they arrived at the periphery of the Lin clan's Divine Weapon Pavilion. Although the Lin clan's Divine Weapon Pavilion used the word pavilion, from afar, it occupied an entire mountain peak. On this mountain peak, there were a large number of pavilions located above the clouds. From afar it looked like an immortal cave. However, Night Sorrow knew that these were all illusions. Therefore he said, "The Lin clan's Divine Weapon Pavilion is covered by an array. If we enter from the main entrance, we will enter a chain array. That will be very dangerous. If we want to launch a surprise attack, we need to break the array first." After saying that, Night Sorrow once again put the barbarian king into the space. He summoned the restriction-breaking hammers and asked, "Do you have the ability to break the array in front of you without anyone noticing? The other party's array is very strong, but given enough time, we should be able to break it." The male hammer of the restriction-breaking hammer said and began to attack the female hammer. Night Sorrow set up a concealment array for them. This was because the location they chose was very remote, and the guests who came to the Lin clan's Divine Weapon Pavilion could enter from the front. The people of the Lin clan did not expect that someone would break the array from the side. The restriction-breaking hammers broke the array very smoothly. It took about a day to break the array of the Lin clan's Divine Weapon Pavilion. Then, Night Sorrow led the people in the Space and Eternal Divine Tower into the Lin clan's Divine Weapon Pavilion. Chapter 3376. When they first entered, Night Sorrow did not let everyone out. Instead, he started to investigate the Lin clan's Divine Weapon Pavilion alone. After he figured out the distribution of the people here, in a restricted area of the Lin clan's Divine Weapon Pavilion, he transmitted his voice to everyone. "We are currently in the Lin clan's Divine Weapon Pavilion. After investigation, there are no half-step Supreme Realm experts guarding this place. There are only over 100 heavenly sovereigns. After I release you, everyone quickly exterminate this property of the Lin clan. After exterminating it, we will go to the next place. The goal is to exterminate all the properties of the Lin clan except for their headquarters. So this time we're attacking the Lin clan. Great, this is great. We have tolerated them for a long time. That's right. The Lin clan has been bullying us. Finally we can fight back. Night Demon Peak Master is mighty." After hearing Night Sorrow's words, they finally understood what the mission was this time. They were still quite excited. After all, the Lin clan was a colossus. They had launched several sneak attacks on Night Demon Peak, but Night Demon Peak did not respond on a large scale. Now that Night Sorrow had returned, it was obvious that he was preparing for a big battle. This made them feel very good. "We have enmity with the Lin clan. But today there is a rule. First, kill or capture heavenly sovereigns. If cultivators below heavenly sovereign do not resist fiercely, we will not kill them. Second, take away all the resources of the Lin clan's Divine Weapon Pavilion as long as you find them. Third, although there are many resources here, they are nothing. Don't risk your lives for resources. Understand?" Before summoning everyone out of the Eternal Divine Tower, Night Sorrow instructed. Night Demon Peak only had over 240 heavenly sovereigns. The number could not be compared to the Lin clan at all. They could not afford to be exhausted. "Yes, Peak Master." After Night Sorrow finished speaking, someone immediately responded. "Very good. Remember my words. Kill." After mobilizing everyone, Night Sorrow released everyone. Suddenly he launched a sneak attack on the Lin clan's Divine Weapon Pavilion, which was completely unaware. Not good. Alert, someone is attacking the Divine Weapon Pavilion. After Night Sorrow and the rest made their move, the Lin clan's Divine Weapon Pavilion quickly became chaotic. After the chaos, many cultivators who came to the Lin clan's Divine Weapon Pavilion to purchase divine weapons all fled the Lin clan's Divine Weapon Pavilion. Only the Lin clan's cultivators remained, and they began to fight to protect the Lin clan's Divine Weapon Pavilion. However, none of them were at the half-step to the supreme stage. How could they possibly be a match for Night Sorrow and the others? In fact, Night Sorrow did not even summon Yen Hongmei, the Barbarian King, or the Green Leopard. He had directly crushed the cultivators of the Lin clan's divine weapon pavilion. Under such a powerful suppression, only a few of the cultivators under Yi Shang's command were injured. None of them died. After they had killed all the heavenly sovereigns in the Lin clan's divine weapon pavilion and chased away the earthly sovereigns and some servants, they immediately began to search for various resources and artifacts in the Lin clan's divine weapon pavilion. The Lin clan was rich and imposing. In the Lin clan's divine weapon pavilion, there were thousands of heavenly sovereign-level divine weapons and defensive divine weapons. The heavenly sovereigns of the Night Demon Peak used these resources to arm themselves from head to toe. Very good. The Lin clan's divine weapon pavilion can increase everyone's combat power by 30%. Looking at the people who had come alone but were now fully armed, Night Sorrow's face instantly broke into a smile. The situation before him was something he had thought of before he took action. Relatively speaking, the resources of the Night Demon Peak were limited. Naturally, it was impossible to provide everyone with heavenly sovereign battle armor, divine weapons and secret treasures. Now that everyone was fully armed, they looked completely different from before. The Peak Master is mighty. The Peak Master is mighty. The Peak Master is mighty. Almost none of the people from the Night Demon Peak returned empty-handed. Naturally, they were very happy. The Lin clan's divine weapon pavilion has been destroyed. Our next target is the Lin clan's heavenly elixir peak. As for what the goal is, you should know. We already have divine weapons. Let's replenish some elixirs. After Night Sorrow finished speaking, he led the group to the Lin clan's heavenly elixir peak. Their whereabouts had been exposed and reported to the head of the Lin clan. However, the Lin clan's heavenly elixir peak was only a 3-day journey from the Lin clan's divine weapon pavilion. By the time the Lin clan sent out a large number of people, it was already too late to stop Night Sorrow and the rest. In less than 6 hours, Night Sorrow led the group to destroy the Lin clan's heavenly elixir peak, completely flattening the Lin clan's sacred place for refining elixirs. Bastard! Who is so daring to openly launch an attack on my Lin clan? Is it Jelin and the rest? They learned that the Lin clan's divine weapon pavilion and the Lin clan's heavenly elixir peak were both destroyed in a short 3 days. Moreover, 20% of the clan's divine weapons and elixirs were all snatched away. The Lin clan's clan leader and elders were all furious. Clan leader, according to the witnesses, the one who attacked this time was not Jelin and the rest from the Lu Tian Academy. The leader is the Peak Master of the Night Demon Peak, Night Demon. One of the elders immediately said when he saw the clan leader's rage. Night Demon Peak's Peak Master, Night Demon? Wasn't he exiled to the mass burial divine region? Could he have escaped? The Lin clan's new clan leader, Lin Xiao, questioned angrily when he heard the news of Night Sorrow's appearance. He had advanced to half-step to Supreme Realm more than 100 years ago and took over the position of clan leader of the Lin clan. He did not expect such a thing to happen right before his eyes after only 100 years. Elder Lin Dongming replied, "From the portrait, it's indeed Night Demon. He must have escaped from the mass burial star region. We should have ignored the Lu Tian Academy and destroyed the Night Demon Peak directly," Lin Xiao said regretfully when he heard Lin Dongming's words. He then continued, "Wait here. I'll get Father and the rest to come out of the mountain. Come with me to annihilate the people from the Night Demon Peak. Go to the Lu Tian Academy and invite all of our connections in the academy." He knew that Night Sorrow was not easy to deal with, so he did not have the confidence to fight with his own strength. Therefore, he went to invite the family's resources directly. "Yes, clan leader." Lin Dongming responded and left the Lin clan. He went to the Lu Tian Academy to invite the family to invite people from the Lu Tian Academy. Their clan had a huge business. Through thousands of years of operations, they had connections with many students and elders in the Lu Tian Academy. While they were organizing their manpower, Night Sorrow led the people from the Night Demon Peak to destroy all of the Lin clan's mines. Including the mine where they obtained the extreme flame phoenix gold, all of the Lin clan's mines had been destroyed. After destroying the mines, Night Sorrow began to lead people to clear out the various forces in the Lin clan. In an instant, the entire Lin clan was turned upside down. Such a huge commotion immediately shook the entire foggy area. Chapter 3377. No one would have thought that the foggy area, which had been peaceful for so long, would erupt with such a huge commotion. While the Lin clan was in a terrible state, the other major forces in the Lu Tian Academy were also paying attention to the development of the situation. The Lu Tian Academy originally wanted the Star Lords in the endless sea of stars to deal with the major families and completely control the foggy area in their hands. But now, before the Academy had even given the order, Night Sorrow had already led his men to attack the Lin clan. This made Andrew and Nan Gongha very dissatisfied. They felt that what he did was alerting the enemy and were preparing to punish Night Sorrow for his crimes. However, now that Night Sorrow was not in the Lu Tian Academy, they had no intention of making a move for the time being. Like the others, they chose to wait and see. As for the Lin clan, in the month after Night Sorrow had attacked and destroyed some of their outer forces, they had completely gathered their forces. Including the forces they summoned and those they invited from the Lu Tian Academy, they had gathered a total of 5 half-step Supreme Realm experts. In addition, they had formed a team of 1,500 heavenly sovereigns. They continued to search for traces of Yi Shang and his team within the Lin clan's territory. While they were searching, Night Sorrow kept everyone in the Eternal Divine Tower and used the pills and cultivation resources he had obtained from the Lin clan to crazily increase his strength. He himself had been searching for the whereabouts of Jie Lin and the others. However, after carefully searching all the Lin clan's territory, he did not find anything. Night Sorrow speculated that Jie Lin and the others should have left the Lin clan's territory, so he gave up on searching and found a forest overflowing with spiritual energy to cultivate the fog-breathing technique. Lord Night Demon, what should we do next? After Night Sorrow had cultivated for a few days, Green Leopard, who was in the Eternal Divine Tower, suddenly asked. In his heart he had a great hatred for Andrew. He hoped to quickly increase his strength and destroy him. Therefore he felt that it was a waste of time. Night Sorrow, who could guess Green Leopard's thoughts, replied, I will cultivate the fog-breathing technique for a few days and then bring you to a place. When we return from that place, it will be the time for us to destroy the Lin clan. The Lin clan has been accumulating for tens of millions of years. They shouldn't be easy to deal with, right? We can still fight guerrilla warfare now. If we fight head-on, I'm afraid we won't be able to gain any advantage. Qing Bao said worriedly. It's all right. I have an idea. After saying this, Night Sorrow returned to the mountain that was only 5 days away from the Lin clan's headquarters and continued to practice the fog-breathing technique. After cultivating for about a month, his fog-breathing technique had officially reached the 8th stage. Now, even if he casually used the power of virtue, he would not be discovered by opponents who were half a step into the Supreme Realm. However, if he didn't want to expose himself in front of a Limiter, he would have to reach the 10th level. This Lin clan actually didn't even search under their noses. After reaching the 8th level, Night Sorrow smiled and stood up. Then he transmitted his voice to Qing Bao and the others. Now I can change my aura at will. Even if the Lin clan sees me, they shouldn't be able to see through my identity. We can leave now. Where to? Yunyi asked doubtfully. Let's go to where Ape Tianlia's clan is. Jie Lin, Ape Tianlai, and the others are no longer in the Lin clan's territory. It's very likely that they're hiding. The most likely place is Ape Tianlia's clan. That's because everyone knows Jie Lin but not Ape Tianlai. Night Sorrow voiced his judgment. Although no one left any clues for him, he felt that his speculation was close. If Ape Tianlia's clan was not there, then they could be in Jie Lin's or Hassa Lady's clan. It should not be far from those few options. When he heard Night Sorrow's words, Yunyi suddenly felt that his thoughts were a little wild. He transmitted his voice. Why do I feel that this speculation is a little unreliable? After all, you haven't appeared for 200 to 300 years. I think it's quite reliable. They can no longer withstand the attacks of others in Lu Tian Academy and can only choose to leave. After leaving, they can only attack the Lin clan on a small scale. Now that they're leaving, they can only choose to go to a safe place. There are no more than 3 places they can go. Night Sorrow said with certainty and did not say anything else. He headed straight to where Ape Tianlia's clan was. Along the way he met a few spies from the Lin clan. However, with the help of the Sea Serpent's Eye, he killed all of them. As for the Lin clan's large-scale troops, he did not encounter any. After leaving the Lin clan's territory, Night Sorrow used the teleportation portal and started heading towards Ape Tianlia's hometown. He had been gone for more than 3 years. They only arrived at their destination on the 4th year. In the 2nd year after Night Sorrow left, his Night Demon Peak was razed to the ground by the furious Lin clan. They had some connections in Lu Tian Academy and Night Sorrow was nowhere to be seen. Naturally, they did not care about this matter. When Night Sorrow brought his men to where the Ape clan was, he reported and confirmed that Ape Tianlai had really brought Jie Lin and the others here as guests. Soon, Night Sorrow was brought in by Ape Tianlai himself to be summoned by the clan leader. At this time Jia Lin, Dancing Lady, Xiao Tianxian, Myriad Sword Sect, and the others were also accepting the clan leader's invitation. After seeing Night Sorrow, the ape clan leader Yuan Mu said a few words of courtesy and said in front of everyone, Tianlai has already told me about your situation. Our ape clan is willing to fight for the eternal supreme world. Purify us? Clan leader, don't you need to think about it? Originally, Night Sorrow thought that it would take a tough battle to purify all the ape clan. He did not expect that ape Tianlai had already done it. He was pleasantly surprised. One of the purposes of his trip was to purify the ape clan's experts and then bring them to launch the final attack on the Lin clan. Think about it? There's no need to think about it. Our clan did not want to enter the foggy area at all. We were forced to join back then. We've long wanted to purify ourselves and our souls. The ape clan leader Yuan Mu said without hesitation. Alright. Then there's no time to lose. Let me purify everyone. Once I'm done you can start cultivating the fog breathing technique. Since ape Tianlai had done a good job, Night Sorrow was naturally prepared to cut the Gordian knot and finish it quickly. After speaking he began to purify the ape clan. After using the power of merit to purify them, Night Sorrow realized that this clan did not only consist of the ape clan, but also the Star Ape clan and a dozen other ape clans. They were all captured by the three Supremes and brought to the foggy area when the eternal supreme world was destroyed. After finishing all this, Night Sorrow and the others briefly caught up. Then he led the ape clan's experts, Jia Lin, and the others back to the Lin clan's territory. Chapter 3378. This time the ape clan had more than 500 heavenly sovereigns in the team, and they even sent out 3 half-step to Supreme Realm. They had sent out almost 80% of the clan's strength. With their participation, Night Sorrow's goal was naturally to uproot the entire Lin clan. This time he did not sneak into the Lin clan's territory like last time. Instead he led the members of the ape clan and advanced towards the Lin clan's old nest in an imposing manner. While flying in the void, Jia Lin said embarrassedly, My Jia Lin clan has a small population and we like to travel, so there aren't many people in the clan. We shouldn't be of much help in this battle. The few of us are enough to deal with the Lin clan. Night Sorrow used the Sea Serpent's Eye to observe Jia Lin and found that she had advanced to half-step to Supreme Realm's second stage. He immediately congratulated her. We didn't have a chance to talk just now. Congratulations, your strength has advanced to half-step to Supreme Realm's second stage. What kind of opportunity did you get to raise your strength so quickly? I didn't get any special resources. I just absorbed some essence of heaven and earth. I realized that the foggy area seems to be different from before. Essence of heaven and earth is often found, and many heavenly sovereigns have advanced to half-step to Supreme Realm in the past 100 years. Some half-step to Supreme Realm experts originally had a slow increase in strength. But in the past 100 years, it has changed. Jia Lin looked at Night Sorrow and continued, Teacher Ji Xian has been stuck at half-step to Supreme Realm 4th stage for countless years. But when I left Lu Tian Academy, he told me that he had obtained a lot of essence and would soon advance to 5th stage. The same situation was happening to other people as well. If not for that, I'm afraid some of your friends wouldn't be able to advance to Heavenly Sovereign now. There have been changes in heaven and earth? I just returned so it's not too obvious. But there are many half-step to Supreme Realm experts in front of us. I heard that 2 or 3 half-step to Supreme Realm experts in the Lin clan have advanced successfully recently. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow said. At this moment, Jia Lin spoke again. I have a feeling that this is not so simple as if something big is going to happen. The foggy area has never been like this before. Let's take it one step at a time. Maybe the difficulty of cultivation will be lowered, and many people will climb the steps of the Supreme Realm. It's a good thing. What the people of the Eternal Supreme World and the Eternal Ancient Desolate World lacked the most was time. Night Sorrow felt that the sudden change in the fog was definitely a good thing for them. Perhaps this would allow him to break through to the Lemmeter state even faster. Maybe. Jia Lin replied and fell into deep thought. After that, Night Sorrow began to catch up with his friends. After all, they hadn't seen each other for 200 years. Amidst the joking atmosphere, a group of 700 to 800 people marched towards the Lin clan's territory in a grandiose manner. In the process of their journey within the territory of the Lin clan, the new clan head of the Lin clan, Lin Xiao, was so angry that he nearly exploded because he couldn't find Night Sorrow. He even sent someone to Lu Tian Academy to challenge Night Sorrow. Furthermore, at the location of Night Demon Peak, he set up a memorial arch for the Night Demon Cowardly Child. It attracted a lot of people to watch. Seeing that the memorial archway was of no use, Lin Shao began to let the people of the Lin clan sing operas near the memorial archway every day. The plot of the opera was naturally to smear Night Sorrow and Night Demon Peak. Furthermore, someone recorded the opera with an image stone and spread it throughout the fog. Soon these image stones were sent to Night Sorrow, who was hurrying on his way. Seeing the contents of these image stones, Night Sorrow laughed instead of being angry. At that time I was near the Lin clan's lair, so they didn't search carefully. Now that I've left, they're starting to do this nonsense. How laughable. Clearly he didn't care about this matter at all. On the other hand, when Myriad Sword Sect, the barbarian king, and the others saw the contents of the image stones, they were all furious. To them, insulting Night Sorrow was provoking them. After thinking about it for about an entire day, Myriad Sword Sect said, "How about this, we enter the Eternal Divine Tower again, and you'll go alone and smash this stage. I'm sure it'll definitely attract the Lin clan's attention. Then, under the circumstances of luring the tiger away from the mountain, we'll directly destroy their lair." I didn't expect that after a few years, you'd also understand tactics. Hearing Myriad Sword Sect's words, Xiao Tianxian immediately laughed out loud. In the past, Myriad Sword Sect would choose to charge forward no matter what he encountered. Now he knew how to turn. Perhaps this is because I taught him well. At this moment, Yuan Fengshui interrupted. Now that she was married to Myriad Sword Sect, because she had something to worry about, Myriad Sword Sect gradually became more stable. Ah, of course. Myriad Sword Sect looked at Yuan Fengshui and laughed. Then he looked at Night Sorrow and said, "Brother Yi, what do you think of my idea?" "Alright, we'll do as you say and attack the Lin clan." To Night Sorrow, with so many helpers, he could deal with the Lin clan however he wanted. However, Myriad Sword Sect's idea would probably make the Lin clan the most unhappy, so he directly agreed to it. Then he used the Eternal Divine Tower to store everyone and rushed directly to Night Devil Peak. When Night Sorrow arrived at Night Devil Peak, the raised Night Devil Peak had simply become a nearby scenic spot. After the Lin clan people started singing, it attracted countless people to watch. Because Night Sorrow changed his aura and appearance, standing in the middle of the crowd, he was not discovered by the Lin clan people. Standing below the stage and watching for a while, a trace of sullen anger immediately emerged on his face. Because not only did the Lin clan people insult him, they also insulted his parents. Damn it. A ruthless feeling flashed across Night Sorrow's heart, then he threw some black thorn crystals on the stage. He said, "If you sing well, I'll buy you a coffin." "Who is it? How dare you act rashly in my Lin clan's territory?" After Yi Shang threw out the black thorn crystals, the people standing beside him moved aside to make a path. Seeing Night Sorrow clearly, the Lin clan people immediately rebuked angrily. "People of the Lin clan, what big words! When did this Night Devil Peak become your Lin clan's territory?" As he spoke, Night Sorrow changed his appearance and aura back. He coldly looked at the people on the stage. "Night Devil? You're the Night Devil." After Night Sorrow changed his appearance and aura back, everyone who had seen his portrait recognized him. Hearing this name, some of the people who were watching the show all moved far away. The Lin clan people who were singing also retreated at the same time. They were all Earth Supremes and Sky Supremes, so they simply did not have the courage to confront Night Sorrow. Seeing the Lin clan people fleeing, Night Sorrow sneered and said, "You people of the Lin clan are a little different from the ones in the play? Go back and tell your master that since you seized my Night Devil Peak, I'll take away your Lin clan's territory." Chapter 3379. To Yi Shang, the earthly sovereigns and heavenly sovereigns before him were like ants. Although he was furious, he did not kill these people. Once they scattered, Yi Shang gazed at the crowd that was watching the show and said, "Everyone, isn't it time to disperse?" As he spoke, he released his powerful god domain. After being suppressed by a half-step paramount realm deity domain, the surrounding cultivators who had come to watch the show immediately apologized and dispersed. After that, Night Sorrow summoned a dozen sky sovereigns from the space grotto heaven and had them build a new Night Demon Peak. Very soon, pavilions and towers were built on the raised Night Demon Peak. It looked quite impressive. Night Sorrow set up a trapping array and an illusion array on the periphery of these pavilions. The trapping array was the 5 bulls array and some other array formations. As for the illusion array, one could see Night Sorrow leading hundreds of cultivators to set up defenses seriously and wait for battle. It looked like they were waiting for the Lin clan to attack. The Lin clan cultivators who did not escape far away saw the scene and did not suspect anything. They immediately reported the situation to clan leader Lin Xiao. Night Sorrow led people to set up everything. After changing his appearance and aura, he led the cultivators in the Eternal Divine Tower and left the area of Night Demon Peak, rushing toward the Lin clan's lair. Before leaving, he used the Sea Serpent's Eye to look at the illusion array. After confirming that even he could not see anything wrong with the illusion array and that the image stone here could transmit the scene nearby, he went to find the nearest teleportation array with peace of mind. He knew that the Lin clan was eyeing Night Demon Peak covetously. It was impossible for them to rush over through the most primitive flight. From the time they gathered their troops to the time they started attacking Night Demon Peak, they would appear here at most a day. Therefore he had to arrive quickly. As it was not his first time going to the Lin clan's lair, Night Sorrow already knew the route. They teleported all the way to the Lin clan's lair. About a day later, they arrived near the Lin clan's lair and observed the situation on Night Demon Peak through the images transmitted by the image stone. While he was observing, he had the restriction-breaking hammer break through the formation set up by the Lin clan in a remote area. He was clear that the Lin clan was a great clan that had existed for tens of millions of years. Their array formation was definitely set up very meticulously. He needed to make a move in advance. At the same time, through observation, Night Sorrow discovered that there were many more spies in the periphery of Night Demon Peak. They should be investigating the situation in Night Demon Peak. After seeing the contents of the illusory array, these spies clearly believed it to be true, and very soon, they lured the people of the Lin clan over. Although he was observing through an image stone, Night Sorrow quickly discovered that the enemy had dispatched at least 4 half-step Supreme Class experts. He transmitted his voice to the people in the Eternal Divine Tower. They've sent out at least 4 half-step Supreme Realm experts. Their rear defenses must be empty. Let's begin. Kill these sons of bitches. After being summoned, Master Wanjian said coldly. Just as he opened his mouth, Yuan Fengshue scolded him. I just said that you've become more mature, and now you're acting like this again. Fufu. Master Wanjian laughed instantly. After the brief interlude, Night Sorrow led the group and charged into the Lin clan's lair from the position where the restriction-breaking hammer broke the array formation. They launched a fierce attack. Almost at the same time, the people sent by the Lin clan to attack Night Demon Peak also took action. However, their first step was to break the array formation. By the time Night Sorrow and the others fought with the experts left behind by the Lin clan, the people attacking Night Demon Peak did not succeed in breaking the array formation. In a situation where their strength was unequal, the Lin clan instantly summoned all their foundations. The Lin clan that was rumored to only have 3 to 5 half-step Supreme Class experts actually summoned 9 half-step Supreme Class experts at the critical moment. This made Yi Shang and the others very surprised. Night Sorrow observed the 9 half-step Supreme Class experts that were summoned. He discovered that among these experts, 1 was at half-step Supreme Class level 4, 2 were at 3rd grade and 2 were at 2nd grade. The remaining 4 had just advanced to half-step Supreme Class. These people had a common characteristic, and that was that their auras were not very stable. Including the 4th grade elder, they should have advanced not long ago. As for the Heavenly Supreme Class cultivators, there were not many, only 500 of them. However, these 500 Heavenly Supremes were all at the upper Heavenly Supreme level. Moreover, their auras were not weak and they also had combat strength. Junior, how dare you attack the ancestral land of the Lin clan? How bold. Since you're here, all of you will stay here today. Lin Hai, who was at half-step Supreme Class level 4, was the ancestor of the Lin clan. Back then, he had followed Supremacy Destruction into battle and had not appeared in the world for a long time. On his body, there was a sinister viciousness that made people uncomfortable. Night Sorrow felt a little awkward being stared at. After thinking for a moment, Night Sorrow determined that this elder had an eye technique. That was why he felt that way. Night Sorrow opened the Sea Serpent Eye and looked at the elder. He immediately forced the elder's gaze away. He said, "From today onwards, the name of the Lin clan will be removed from the fog area." Junior, how arrogant. Kill all the invaders for this old man. Lin Hai's gaze was forced away by Night Sorrow's Sea Serpent Eye. He was furious and ordered coldly. "Let me see what kind of strength an old antique like you has. You guys deal with the others." Night Sorrow said to Jie Lin and the others while facing Lin Hai. On their side, Yen Hongmei, Qing Bao, Man Wang, and Jie Lin were all half-step supreme class experts. Their combat strength was not inferior to the other party. Even if they could not win against 8, they would definitely be able to hold on for a while. It would be fine as long as he could kill Lin Hai quickly. After the battle in the Eternal Supreme World, I have not fought again. It seems that the world has forgotten the name of Blood Azura Lin Hai. Lin Hai, who was facing Night Sorrow, gradually changed his aura. A blood-colored divine territory bloomed. Blood Azura Lin Hai? Then you have to die even more. Seeing Lin Hai's blood-colored divine territory, Night Sorrow's murderous intent intensified. Clearly, Lin Hai had once slaughtered in the Eternal Supreme World. He roared and activated the Treastrimsa secret combat technique and destruction divine ability. After raising his status, he shot the divine spear at his opponent. This was a probing attack. Night Sorrow did not expect it to be effective. Insignificant skill. Lin Hai saw the divine spear and showed a trace of disdain on his face. He waved his hand and summoned a blood-colored scythe and slashed at the Desolation War Halberd. Boom. The Desolation War Halberd spear light was shattered. Although you have just reached the 4th stage of half-step supreme class, your strength is indeed extraordinary. After seeing Lin Hai's performance, Night Sorrow had a certain understanding of his strength. Chapter 3380. The Crimson Scythe in Lin Hai's hand was at the level of half-step to Supreme Realm. Moreover, he was an old monster who had cultivated for millions of years. His strength should be second only to the 3 vice deans of Lu Tian Academy. Under normal circumstances, Yi Shan definitely wouldn't be a match for him. However, the problem was that the Crimson Scythe was a divine weapon and the power that he used was of the evil attribute. Under such circumstances, Night Sorrow would be greatly strengthened by the power of merit. He made a judgment and felt that if he were to go all out with the power of merit, he should be able to put up a fight. After a rough calculation, Night Sorrow swung his golden heavenly halberd and destroyed the Crimson Scythe's attack. Top grade servant manga / Hehe. Junior, among the middle heavenly sovereigns, you should be in the top 5 since ancient times. However, you have not become a true expert. Prepare to die. I'll let you understand why I'm called Blood Azura Lin Hai. Seeing that Night Sorrow had destroyed the Crimson Scythe's attack, Lin Hai sneered. His body exploded with an even more intense crimson color. He looked as though he had been fished out from a sea of blood. Then he controlled the Crimson Scythe and used a unique skill. Crimson Harvest. The Crimson Scythe suddenly shot towards Night Sorrow in the air. However, before the Crimson Scythe could get close, the crimson glow was already near Night Sorrow's neck. Facing the crimson glow from Lin Hai's Crimson Scythe, Night Sorrow did not take it head-on. Instead, he used the 9 defiant steps to put some distance between them. He waved his hand and used the Extreme Flame Mother Spear. One spear shot towards the crimson glow while the other shot towards the Crimson Scythe. After 2 loud collisions, the attacks from both sides were once again annihilated. What? Even the Crimson Harvest can't take care of an ant like you. Lin Hai saw that his unique skill was not able to take down Night Sorrow. Lin Hai had a new understanding of Night Sorrow's speed and strength. He instantly understood that Night Sorrow's strength was much stronger than he had expected. If there were no accidents, he should have many tricks up his sleeves. After thinking for a while, Lin Hai thought, this little bastard's strength is shocking. Looks like I'll have to use some of my true abilities. After thinking for a while, he activated the Crimson Robe on his body. The Crimson Robe's grade 3 half Supreme Realm. Lin Hai then took out the Sky Crimson Scythe. He tossed the bell into the air and let it release a very pleasing sound. However, this bell was only for Yi Shang alone. The others present could not hear it at all. What Crimson High? Es Lin Hai's? After hearing the ringtone, Yi Shang instantly felt sleepy. He could barely keep his eyelids open. In the process of battle, if one's reaction was slow, they would be doomed eternally, not to mention falling asleep. At that moment, Night Sorrow unleashed his power of merit, allowing it to envelop him. He wanted to use it to disperse the effects of the bell. Crimson. When Night Sorrow used the power of merit, he realized that it had no effect on the ringtone. At this moment, Lin Hai, who had realized that Night Sorrow's status was affected by the bell, once again used the Crimson Scythe to perform a new unique skill. Azura 10,000 Ren. When this move was unleashed, the blood-colored scythe immediately formed thousands of shadows in the void. After tens of thousands of shadows appeared, they all shot towards Night Sorrow. Tens of thousands of blood scythes shot out, dyeing the entire void red. Fortunately, the battlefield was a little far from the others. Otherwise, none of the heavenly sovereigns would have been able to survive this attack. Night Devil, be careful. Jie Lin, who was the closest to them, was currently fighting 1 against 2. When he noticed Night Sorrow's situation, he immediately transmitted his voice. If she could get away, she would definitely have helped him. Don't worry, I can handle it. At this moment, Night Sorrow knew how critical his situation was. He immediately ignited his Phoenix bloodline, Scale bloodline and Leaken bloodline. After igniting the 3 bloodlines, he suddenly used the Gentle Dragon Roar to disperse the ringtone. Then he used the 9 steps of the Defiant Heaven and put some distance between himself and the deep-sea roaming dragon. Then he unleashed the Fiery Demon Spear towards the sky full of blood scythes. This time, the Inferno Demon Subduing Spear contained a dense amount of power of merit. When it came into contact with the blood scythes, it instantly incinerated them. Not long after, Lin Hai's attack was completely annihilated in the void. Blood Azura Lin Hai, your attack doesn't seem as terrifying as you described. It's your turn to receive my attack. At this moment, Night Sorrow roared loudly. He seized the opportunity to take out the Wuji Void Cauldron and stabilize the void. Then he unleashed the Extreme Flame Mother Spear at Lin Hai. You used the same move against me twice? A junior will always be a junior. The attack methods you have are too simple. Although the Azura 10,000 Ren had been destroyed, Lin Hai didn't panic at all. As an old monster who had cultivated for countless years, he had many tricks up his sleeve and countless treasures on him. He didn't just have a copper bell. In the face of Night Sorrow's Extreme Flame Mother Spear, he mocked him. Then he took out a golden bell and propped up a golden light shield around his body. After the golden light shield appeared, mysterious runes rose continuously and flew into the void. On the surface, these runes didn't look like much. However, after they appeared, they all shot towards the Golden Heavenly Halberd and the Desolation War Halberd. After being enveloped by these runes, the power of the Extreme Flame Mother Spear was reduced by half. Together with the Golden Light Shield, Night Sorrow's attack was neutralized just like that. Because of this, he didn't use the Merit Trap Array that he wanted to create. Junior, your attack can't even get close to me. You have to understand that time has created an insurmountable gap between you and me. Blood Azura Lin Hai said disdainfully. Then he took out another secret treasure. This time it was a statue. After he poured a few drops of blood into the statue, it grew in the void to the size of a normal person. Then it came to life. Night Sorrow observed it for a while and realized that it was a puppet with a human body and a dog head. It was a half step to the Supreme Realm. Although it had a dog head, its fangs looked very evil. After summoning it, Lin Hai silently recited a few incantations. The puppet with a human body and a dog head was instantly activated. It pounced on Night Sorrow crazily. A half step to the Supreme Realm 3rd stage is no threat to me. Facing a half step to the Supreme Realm 3rd stage puppet, Night Sorrow didn't feel any pressure. As he created the Divine Vitality Trap Array, he used the 33 Tao Words formula to slow down the puppet. Then he suddenly used the Broken Void Palm and slapped the Broken Void Palm away. You have some skills. However, it's obvious that this is just a feint. Blood Azura Lin Hai laughed coldly. Then he used an eye technique on Night Sorrow. Blood Eyes of Affliction. Chapter 3381. As soon as the blood eyes of affliction appeared, a blood-red world appeared in Night Sorrow's eyes. Immediately after, he felt his entire body being sucked into this blood-red world. Horrifying black blood flowed out from the surrounding void. Then more and more blood corpses appeared and attacked him. He couldn't move at all in this blood-red world. He couldn't resist the blood corpses' attacks at all and was nibbled away bit by bit. Not long after, even the Blue Phoenix battle armor was taken off by the blood corpses. The feeling of being bitten made Night Sorrow feel that he had entered a blood-red world. However, at this moment, a strong power of virtue rose around him. With the protection of the power of beneficence, Xiaoqun stealthily allowed Yishan to regain his freedom of movement. This is an eye technique. It brought me into an illusion. Fortunately, this is a blood-red world with a strong evil aura. Otherwise, the power of virtue wouldn't be able to break it. The power of virtue automatically protected him and removed the effects of Lin Hai's eye technique. Yishang instantly rejoiced. Lin Hai's eye technique was still very strong. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to trick him with the sea serpent's eye. At this moment, Lin Hai clearly didn't expect Night Sorrow to be able to escape from the blood-red world in such a short time. he smiled proudly and said, "A junior is indeed a junior. You lack battle experience. Today all the people you've brought here will be turned into my food." Bloodside. As Lin Hai roared, he used a special technique called Crimson Scythe. However, he didn't use the scythe in his hand. Instead, he sent out a stream of blood energy. This blood energy transformed into a giant blood-red scythe, which suddenly slashed towards Yishang. This blood-red giant scythe was very big when it first appeared. However, when it got closer to Night Sorrow, it suddenly became about the size of the golden heavenly halberd. It directly slashed at Night Sorrow's neck. "Lin Hai, you think too lightly of this battle." At this moment, Night Sorrow suddenly broke free from his absent-minded state. Using his powerful frost energy, he directly froze Lin Hai's blood-red scythe half a foot away from his neck. After that, he had Little Five control the Eternal Divine Tower to absorb all of this blood chi and purify it. "Little bastard, hand over my blood chi." Seeing his blood chi being directly absorbed, Lin Hai flew into a rage. Because this blood-red color was almost a third of his blood chi, and it was something he had accumulated over a few epochs. Compared to blood chi, you should be more concerned about your own life. Lin Hai had lost 1/3 of his blood-red color, and his aura had weakened significantly. Naturally, his strength was affected as well. Under such circumstances, Night Sorrow, who had already ignited all of his bloodline power, could not help but tremble. Immediately, she unleashed an Ice-Fire Mother Spear at him. This move was something he developed based on the foundation of the Extreme Flame Mother Gun. It contained the surging power of fire and the terrifying power of ice. What a strong power of ice and fire. I'm afraid that this attack can easily kill a third-grade half-step Supreme Stage Cultivator. After the move was unleashed, Lin Hai's expression changed instantly. Lin Hai realized that the fire and ice contained in Night Sorrow's move were extremely terrifying. Under the condition that his blood-red color was severely damaged, it was very difficult for him to block it with his own strength. Under such circumstances, he activated the Golden Bell again and unleashed the Golden Light Shield in an attempt to block it. "You still want to use the same move?" Night Sorrow, who was facing Lin Hai, revealed a cold smile at this moment. Then he unleashed the Merit Trap Array and the 66 words formula to imprison Lin Hai in the Golden Bell. Under the temporary suppression of the Golden Light Shield, the Icefire Mother Spear struck Lin Hai's body violently. Boom! After being sent flying by the Icefire Mother Spear, Lin Hai's upper body was instantly burned by flames, and his lower body was completely frozen. Under such circumstances, Night Sorrow unleashed the Merit Trap Array and the God's Spear again. Instantly, the lower body was sent flying. "Damn it! Little bastard, you deserve to die." Lin Hai instantly screamed in anger when his lower body was shattered. Then, the lower half of his body grew back at a speed visible to the naked eye. However, the newly grown lower body's chi and blood were much weaker. Clearly, he had used up a lot of chi and blood. At this moment, the flames on his body burned relentlessly. This kind of flame that was mainly composed of the phoenix fire and supplemented by other flames was still very terrifying when it burned. Not long after, it burned Lin Hai's Dantian. He continuously used up his chi and blood to barely block it. At the same time he roared, "Save me! Quickly attack that little bastard and save me!" At this point in the battle, Lin Hai understood that he was powerless and immediately began to cry for help. "Cry for help? Why don't you think about who can save you now?" Night Sorrow sneered at Lin Hai, who was crying for help, and unleashed an ocular technique at him. He used an ordinary ocular technique to blind his eyes directly. Then he used the golden heavenly halberd to shatter his Dantian and destroy his godly soul before sending him into the eternal divine tower. The entire process took less than 5 breaths. At this moment, the other half-step to Supreme Realm experts of the Lin family had yet to make a move. When Lin Hai was absorbed into the eternal divine tower, Night Sorrow immediately sent a voice transmission. "This Lin Hai has countless treasures on him. If you find anything useful, help me keep it. If it's ordinary, absorb it all." "Okay. You can fight in peace." Hearing this, Xiaowu replied happily and began to use the power of the Eternal Divine Tower to check the treasures and resources on Lin Hai's body. After checking for a while, Xiaowu said in shock, "This Lin Hai, the resources on him are shocking. It's enough for you to break through to half-step to Supreme Realm." "Are you sure it's not enough for me to break through to Upper Heavenly Sovereign but half-step to Supreme Realm?" When Xiaowu said this, Night Sorrow, who was about to help, asked doubtfully, "If I'm not wrong, it should be enough for you to break through to half-step to Supreme Realm. However, if you want to use these resources to break through to half-step to Supreme Realm, you will need time. Xiaowu said with certainty. Okay, I got it. Knight Sorrow responded and began the battle again. Before he joined, the battle was basically balanced, with both sides suffering casualties. However, the casualties were not too serious. After Knight Sorrow joined the battle, the half-step to Supreme Realm experts of the Lin clan began to fall one by one. Seeing the experts of the Lin clan and the invited experts being killed one after another, the heavenly sovereigns of the Lin clan were in a complete mess. With the addition of Knight Sorrow, Jia Lin, and the rest, the cultivators of the Lin clan were all annihilated. At this moment, Knight Sorrow said, "If I'm not wrong, the team that the Lin clan sent to Night Demon Peak will be back soon. Let's set up the array and wait for them to come. After killing them, we will study the spoils of war." He gave the order and immediately started to set up the array. As for the others, they cleaned up the mess and waited for the next battle to arrive. Chapter 3382. The situation was similar to what Knight Sorrow had expected. As they had not been warned, the Lin clan cultivators who had come to support them quickly returned to their base. They had mistakenly entered the formation and encountered Knight Sorrow and the others, who had been waiting for them at ease. It was like a lamb entering a tiger's den. Even Lin Hai and the others were no match for them, let alone the cultivators. In less than 2 hours, these people were killed by Knight Sorrow, Jia Lin, and the others. It was worth mentioning that 2 of the Lu Tian Academy's helpers were actually Su Zhiqian's subordinates. They had met them before, but the 2 of them had left with Su Zhiqian. Su Zhiqian, it seems like we have to settle our grudges in the future. After the battle ended, Knight Sorrow said to himself. He looked at the crowd and said, "Everyone, we took down the Lin clan not only for the cultivation resources. We also want their vast cultivation territory. From today onwards, everyone will integrate all their cultivation resources. Then, find a few suitable cultivation areas and build a training ground that belongs to us. From now on, this place completely belongs to us. Now you are free to do whatever you want." What he meant was for everyone present to search for resources at their own will. Hearing this, everyone excitedly searched for all kinds of resources in the Lin clan's base. The remaining old, weak and sick people of the Lin clan had been moved away by someone during the battle. Knight Sorrow was not too concerned about this. He felt that it would be troublesome if the other party's women and children were left behind. He could not kill them. If he did not kill them, there might be trouble in the future. Running away might be the best choice. While the crowd was searching for all kinds of resources, Knight Sorrow began to use the Sea Serpent's Eye and the restriction-breaking hammer to search for the Lin clan's treasury. He knew that a big family like the Lin clan, after so many years of accumulation, would definitely have unimaginable wealth. And the truth was just as he had predicted. When Knight Sorrow found the treasury, he was shocked by the accumulation in front of him. Not to mention the divine weapons and treasures, just the cultivation resources and elixirs alone were enough to equip thousands of heavenly sovereigns. This amount of resources was definitely not something that could be accumulated in a year or 2. At the very least, it would take tens of millions of years to slowly accumulate to such a degree. This was completely beyond everyone's expectations. In the following days, Knight Sorrow distributed these resources equally to all the cultivators who attacked the Lin clan. He wasn't stingy with anyone. This made the warriors of the Ape clan very happy. These resources were enough for them to become upper heavenly sovereigns. After distributing the resources, Knight Sorrow called Yunyi, Shao Tianxian, Myriad Sword Sect, Ape Tianlai, and a dozen others together. Now, all of the Lin clan's territories have been taken over by us. However, it was easy to conquer an empire but difficult to defend it. In the coming days, I will enter a state of cultivation and try to break through to a higher realm. You can discuss how to divide the Lin family's territories. I won't interfere. I think that the other forces won't dare to invade us for the time being. After all, the Lin clan's annihilation is right before their eyes. They shouldn't dare to challenge us. Therefore, everyone could peacefully allocate their territories. After entering the territory, quickly use the resources to increase your strength. What do you think? After Knight Sorrow finished speaking, Yunyi opened his mouth to analyze. Xian Yan agreed and said, "We are very mysterious now. It should be difficult for the other forces to find out about us, so they won't act rashly. I think Yunye's arrangement is quite reasonable. However, we are weak when divided and strong when gathered. We need to gather again in a few decades. This is to prevent some people from sneaking up on us one by one." What you said makes sense. Let's limit it to 30 years. I think the other forces or some students of the Lu Tian Academy won't act rashly so soon. However, after a few decades they might not be honest. Knight Sorrow nodded and continued, I'm in a hurry to cultivate. You can discuss these things properly. As for Barbarian King, Qing Bao, Yen Hongmei, Jielin, and the two half-step Supreme Realm Ape Clan experts who didn't really fight this time before I come out of seclusion, I hope you can take care of everyone. That's not a problem. Don't worry and go cultivate. After Knight Sorrow finished speaking, Jielin promised. After that, the others agreed one after another, especially the two half-step Supreme Realm Ape Clan experts. This time they had received a lot of resources without fighting, so they felt a little embarrassed. Naturally, they agreed to Knight Sorrow's request without hesitation. After settling the matters, Knight Sorrow entered the Eternal Divine Tower. In the space that was 10 times larger than usual, he used the resources that Xiaowu had obtained from Lin Hai to cultivate. The resources that Lin Hai had accumulated were originally used to break through to the 5th stage of the half-step Supreme Realm. Knight Sorrow used them to cultivate, and the speed at which his strength increased was still very fast. However, even with his extraordinary talent, he still spent more than 270 years in the space to successfully advance to the peak of the upper heavenly sovereign level. That meant that he was only a step away from the half-step Supreme Realm. As for the power of merit, although he had killed Lin Hai and converted it into power of merit this time, he was still at the peak of the upper heavenly sovereign level. However, he was still at the level of a middle heavenly sovereign and had yet to advance any further. After advancing to the peak of the upper heavenly sovereign level, Knight Sorrow found a deserted desert, left the Eternal Divine Tower, and successfully passed the upper heavenly sovereign tribulation. After successfully passing the tribulation, he felt that his strength had increased by another step. His basic strength was almost at the 2nd or 3rd stage of the half-step Supreme Realm. When he unleashed his full strength, he could almost fight against a true 4th stage. After completing all this, there was still some time before the 30-year agreement. Knight Sorrow re-entered the Eternal Divine Tower and studied the 100-word mantra. This time, he used more than 20 years to comprehend the 100-word mantra to the 99-word mantra. He was only one word away from true mastery. However, he could not understand the last word no matter how hard he thought about it, so he gave up. He returned to the Lin clan's old nest, which was the current center of the Night Devil territory, to meet Jielin and the others. After seeing everyone, Knight Sorrow, who was originally a little worried, immediately relaxed. This was because in these years, no one had attacked the Night Devil territory. There were no casualties in the Night Devil territory, and it was rapidly growing stronger. However, after everyone had gathered, Jielin suddenly sent a voice transmission to Knight Sorrow. Teacher Ji Xian came to find you decades ago. At that time you were in seclusion and he did not disturb you. He left immediately. If you have time, can you go to the Lu Tian Academy to meet him? Oh, teacher came to find me? Since there's nothing in the territory, I'll go to the Lu Tian Academy. After hearing Jielin's words, Knight Sorrow left the Night Devil territory and flew to the Lu Tian Academy. He wanted to quickly find out why Vice Dean Ji Xian was looking for him. Chapter 3383. After leaving Knight Sorrow's territory, Knight Sorrow quickly arrived at the Lu Tian Academy. When he saw Vice Dean Ji Xian, Knight Sorrow greeted him and said, I heard that you came looking for me a few years ago. When I learned that you destroyed the Lin clan, I went to look for you. But you were in seclusion, so I didn't disturb you. Judging from your aura, you have reached the peak of the upper heavenly supreme level. You should be able to reach the half-step to the supreme level soon. Congratulations. Vice Dean Ji Xian congratulated Knight Sorrow. Then he continued, actually what I want to talk to you about is not urgent, but it is very important. Before the 3 Supreme Venerables recover, there will be a great opportunity in the Endless Star Sea. Great opportunity? Knight Sorrow looked at Vice Dean Ji Xian in confusion. The so-called great opportunity is the resources to reach the supreme level. Due to the restrictions of the 3 Supreme Venerables, only the people from the Central Academy can participate in the competition. As for us Vice Deans, we have no chance to participate. I hope that you or the other cultivators I brought in can obtain the opportunity and successfully reach the supreme level. This will be considered as winning glory for me. Vice Dean Ji Xian looked at Knight Sorrow and said, also the people from the Central Academy can participate. There are no restrictions on the students or the elders. This is because the elders there were once students. Therefore the competition will be very intense. There is such an opportunity? Why are the three Supreme Venerables so eager to nurture a new Supreme Venerables? After hearing Vice Dean Ji Xian's words, Night Sorrow was surprised. Top grade servant comic / He was very confused as to why the three Supreme Venerables wanted to nurture a new Supreme Venerables. As for why the three Supreme Venerables want to nurture a new Supreme Venerables, I don't know, because this has never happened before. However, since they said that they want to nurture a new Supreme Venerables, the corresponding opportunity will naturally appear. Vice Dean Ji Xian explained and said, in addition, after you made a move against the Lin clan, the students and elders of the other courtyards also started to make a move. The foggy area should be very chaotic in the near future. I suggest that you make good use of the time they are fighting and increase your strength at all costs. Prepare to welcome the arrival of the great opportunity. Is the fog zone already in chaos? How many forces had attacked those old forces? Generally, veteran forces would have their own trump cards, right? With just the students and elders of the middle school, I'm afraid it'll be difficult to eliminate them. Night Sorrow had been cultivating all these years, so he didn't pay much attention to these things. Upon hearing Vice Principal Ji Xian's words, he immediately asked. To be honest, he did not quite understand the Killer Academy's arrangement. According to his understanding of the academy, it shouldn't be easy for them to swallow up all the old clans. Don't forget that behind the central courtyard students and elders, there are 3 vice-chancellors. In this battle, the students would definitely win. However, you should be the only one who doesn't need my help. Vice Principal Ji Xian said with relief. Then he continued, do you know what it means to increase your strength at all costs? I don't really understand. Night Sorrow said. As long as you can raise your strength, the academy won't pursue anything you do. Vice Principal Ji Xian said with a smile. There was such a thing? If everyone is like this, wouldn't the entire foggy area be in chaos? Hearing Vice Principal Ji Xian's words, Night Sorrow was completely confused. He didn't quite understand why such an arrangement was made. It felt like the 3 Supremes were crazy. It's not just the foggy area. The Eternal Supreme World is also in chaos. A few years ago, the Eternal Supreme World was occupied by the heaven-deceiving foreign tribes. Now, there are hundreds of foreign tribes fighting there. The battle is even more intense than the foggy area. Vice Principal Ji Xian said with a smile when he heard Night Sorrow's words. Is all of this arranged by the 3 Supremes? What are the few of them trying to achieve? Hearing this, Night Sorrow asked in surprise again. I can't figure out what the 3 Supremes are thinking. But no matter what, it's necessary for you to raise your strength quickly. Strive to be the best in the future battles. Ji Xian said again. He took out a small tower from the space and handed it to Night Sorrow. If I'm not wrong, you really need this tower, right? Take it. This is. Night Sorrow took the small tower from Vice Principal Ji Xian and immediately realized that the tower was a part of the Eternal Divine Tower. However, he wasn't sure which level it was. At this time, Little Five said excitedly, this is the 2nd level. The 2nd level? Very good. Only 4 more levels are left. Gather them all, and you can become an extreme divine artifact again. Night Sorrow said happily when he heard Little Five's voice transmission. Yes. I didn't expect Vice Principal Ji Xian to be so considerate. It saves you from fighting for it. Little Five continued. Yes. Night Sorrow said to Little Five, then looked at Ji Xian and said, thank you, teacher. No need to thank me. I will do my best to pave the way for you. However, the other 2 towers are in the territory controlled by Andrew and Nangong Lotus. I can't help you get them. If you need them, you can only increase your strength and get them yourself. Ji Xian looked at Night Sorrow and said earnestly. At this moment, Night Sorrow even felt that Ji Xian was so kind that he didn't seem like someone from the fog area. At this time, Little Seven reminded him, Night Sorrow, don't forget the essence of the fog. I think he must be faking it. In the end, he must have bad intentions. I will pay attention. After Little Seven's reminder, Night Sorrow thought of their understanding of the fog when they first arrived. It was synonymous with slaughter and blood. In the fog area, battles happened all the time. Almost every moment there were powerhouses falling. He instinctively woke up to everything in the fog area. Seeing that Night Sorrow was a little absent-minded, Ji Xian smiled and said, are you still thinking about why the 3 Supreme Venerables want to nurture Supreme Realm powerhouses? Yes, I'm thinking about this. The main thing is that I can't figure out why the 3 Supreme Venerables don't provide resources for you to advance. Night Sorrow casually found an excuse and said, if you want to enter the Supreme Realm, you can't just rely on resources. The three of us don't have the talent to advance to the supreme realm. No matter how many resources we consume, it's useless. Now that I've advanced to the 5th stage of the supreme realm, it's already my limit. Ji Xian explained with a helpless smile. Alright. Since that's the case, I'll take my leave first. Thank you, teacher, for your guidance. Night Sorrow felt that he had already asked what he needed to ask and had obtained the 2nd floor of the Eternal Divine Tower. There was no need to stay any longer. After saying that, he was sent out by Ji Xian's 2 boys. After Night Sorrow left, a black shadow suddenly appeared behind Ji Xian. He sneered and said, "The one you found is not bad. He has the appearance of a supreme venerable. It can be considered a merit." Chapter 3384. Shadow, do you also think that he has the bearing of an extreme supremacy? Ji Xian looked at Shadow and asked with a fake smile. His expression was completely different from the kind one he had when facing Night Sorrow. It was as if he was a completely different person. Without a doubt. In my opinion, although his current cultivation level is the lowest, he's the one most likely to advance to the extreme state among the seeds. Shadow was wearing a pitch-black mask. When he said this, there was no trace of emotion in his voice. After he finished speaking, Ji Xian said coldly, "In other words, he's the one most likely to become food for the 3 extreme supremacies." Yes. However, don't mention the matter of the 3 extreme supremacies nurturing extreme state experts to be devoured. If this gets out, it'll definitely cause panic. Shadow said coldly after Ji Xian finished speaking. Don't worry. Ji Xian said confidently and continued, "The fog area needs blood and killing to support this matter. After so many years, it hasn't been exposed. Moreover, the fog aura is even stronger than before. This proves that we've done a good job." That's true. Compared to us fishermen, these fishes know too little. If they know that no matter how they struggle, they'll still be devoured in the end, I wonder what will happen? Shadow said with a cold smile, his words full of mockery. At this moment, Ji Xian frowned and said, "If the 3 extreme supremacies can each devour a new extreme supremacy, the possibility of them killing Yen and Yen Hengshi will increase greatly. As long as they devour these 2, one of them might advance to a new cultivation level. Then they'll open the door to a new world. No one can be sure whether the new world exists or not. However, if there's a new world, I'll be the first to enter." Shadow said with some anticipation. Although Ji Xian did not say anything, his face was full of anticipation. Night Sorrow, who knew nothing about the conversation between the 2, was already preparing to leave Killer Heaven Academy. However, just as he left Ji Xian's palace, before he could fly out of Killer Heaven Academy's gate, he was stopped by a figure. The person who stopped him was none other than Su Zhiqian, who had some grudges with him. After leading his subordinates to stop Night Sorrow, Su Zhiqian said with a fake smile, "Night Demon, I trust you've been well since we last met. What do I have to do with you? What's the meaning of you stopping me?" Night Sorrow glanced at Su Zhiqian and said coldly. He did not have a good impression of the person in front of him. Not only had they fought before, but Su Zhiqian's subordinates were the Lin Lin's family members. A playful smile appeared on Su Zhiqian's face when he heard Yi Shang's words. "Night Demon, we're all sensible people, so I'll be direct. What does it have to do with you?" Yi Shang stared coldly at Su Zhiqian. At this moment he no longer felt the same pressure when facing Su Zhiqian. At that time, Su Zhiqian even had the ability to kill him, but he didn't cherish it. "As long as you admit it." Su Zhiqian sneered at Night Sorrow. "If you know what's good for you, hand over half of what you have. Otherwise, you won't be able to leave Lu Tian Academy today." "Are you sure you have the guts and strength to make me unable to leave Lu Tian Academy?" Night Sorrow asked disdainfully when he heard Su Zhiqian's words. "I've already investigated. You have nothing to do with the 3 supreme supremacies. Furthermore, the Academy doesn't care about the fights between students and elders. Your strength is no match for mine. If you don't hand over what you have, I'll kill you today," Su Zhiqian said confidently. Ever since Night Sorrow had been exiled to the Mass Burial Star region, he had understood that Night Sorrow had nothing to do with the 3 supreme supremacies. If he had, he wouldn't have become a victim of the fight between the 3 vice-chancellors. After he finished speaking, Night Sorrow said with a smile, "There's a saying that goes like this. We haven't seen each other in a few hundred years. Are you sure you have the strength to take me down? Your cultivation level has increased and you've reached the peak of the upper heavenly supreme level. However, I'm already a half step to the supreme level. The gap between us is even greater than it was back then. Su Zhiqian said arrogantly. Therefore, I advise you to hand over what you have. I'm already giving you face by not taking your territory. I don't need a piece of trash like you to give me face. I can't possibly take down the Lin clan. Yishang had a disdainful smile on his face. Su Zhiqian had just reached the peak of the half-step to the supreme level. Even if he had outstanding talent, his strength would at most be on par with Lin Hai from the Lin clan. Now that he had reached the peak of the upper heavenly supreme level, his combat strength was much higher than when he had fought with Lin Hai. He was almost certain that he would win. Bastard. Master gave you face but you didn't want it. Go to hell. Seeing that Night Sorrow didn't take Su Zhiqian seriously, one of Su Zhiqian's subordinates attacked immediately. I don't even care about your master, let alone you. In the face of Su Zhiqian's attack, Yishang waved his hand and smashed it into dust. The whole process was so fast that Su Zhiqian didn't even have time to react. Seeing that Night Sorrow was so powerful, Huang Jie, who was standing behind Su Zhiqian, said telepathically, Master, this night demon's strength seems to have increased a lot. We have to be careful. Although his strength has increased a lot, it's nothing compared to mine. Just watch. Su Zhiqian, who was extremely confident in his own strength, replied to Huang Jie and attacked Night Sorrow with the Astral Void Fist. He had used this move against Night Sorrow before. However, as his strength increased, the power of this move also increased. How many times are you going to use the same move? Night Sorrow was speechless when he saw that Su Zhiqian had used the Astral Void Fist on him. At the same time, he activated the Trayastrimsa Battle Mystic Technique and the Destruction Mystic ability. After increasing his strength, he suddenly attacked Su Zhiqian with a Broken Void Palm. The Broken Void Palm and the Astral Void Fist collided. Su Zhiqian seemed to have turned into a meteor and was sent flying into the sky. At this moment, Night Sorrow smiled and said, It seems that your strength isn't worthy of your confidence. Bastard. Su Zhiqian, who was originally full of confidence, was sent flying by Night Sorrow. He had lost face in front of his subordinates. He couldn't hold on any longer. With a loud roar, he took out the Astral Void Spear and attacked Night Sorrow with a spear technique. Astral Void Thousand Demons Spear. In an instant, countless demons appeared in the void. After these demons appeared, they all flew towards Night Sorrow. Master, you're actually using your strongest technique? Seeing that Su Zhiqian had directly used his strongest technique, Huang Jie and the others were stunned. Chapter 3385. As a celestial lord, Huang Ji had submitted to Su Zhiqian because Su Zhiqian was one of the strongest celestial lords. He could definitely rank in the top 10. Even if the elders of the endless galaxy were included, he could rank in the top 30. In Baron Thorn's opinion, Su Zhiqian had the power to look down on all living beings and suppress him to the point of suffocation. At this moment he saw Su Zhiqian use his most powerful technique, the Star Ruins Demon Spear, against Night Sorrow. He immediately looked at Night Sorrow in surprise. He wasn't stupid at all. He knew that Night Sorrow must be extraordinary to receive such treatment from Su Zhiqian. The gap between them must have widened. This made him very depressed. A few hundred years ago when he fought with Night Sorrow, he was only slightly suppressed. Su Zhiqian's other subordinates weren't too familiar with Night Sorrow. They lamented how a heavenly supreme who hadn't even reached the half-step supreme realm could send Su Zhiqian flying and force him to use his most powerful technique. They were amazed. Star Ruins Demon Spear? Night Sorrow clearly felt some pressure when facing Su Zhiqian's technique. Every single one of those demons that filled the sky gave off a very strong feeling. He guessed that they were evil spirits summoned by Su Zhiqian from the Star Ruins, or the projections of demons. Although the strength of these demons couldn't be quantified, they gave off a very dangerous feeling. As they flew towards Night Sorrow, some of them spat out flames, while others brandished their axes. Facing them, Night Sorrow immediately summoned the power of merit to protect himself and activated the half-step Supreme Realm Green Phoenix armor. Holding the Golden Heavenly Halberd and the Desolation War Halberd, he shot out the Extreme Flame Demon Spear at the demons in the sky. The flames burned the demons in the sky. Although the flames weren't very aggressive, they contained a strong power of merit. The demons that were burned by the flames were instantly annihilated. Some of the demons that dodged the flames were continuously pierced by Night Sorrow when they attacked him. In the end, Su Zhiqian's so-called most powerful technique didn't have any effect on him. What? Master's strongest technique is of no threat to the night demon? Seeing Night Sorrow easily receive Su Zhiqian's attack, Baron Thorn became even more agitated. Su Zhiqian's other subordinates were the same. The way they looked at Night Sorrow had changed. Su Zhiqian himself was still very calm. With a smile on his face, he looked at Night Sorrow and said, "No wonder you are so confident. It looks like you do have some ability. You have no right to judge whether I'm capable or not." Night Sorrow looked at Su Zhiqian with the sea serpent eye and said. Then he waved his hand and shot out the extreme flame mother gun. When the extreme flame solo mother spear approached him, he used a combination of the divine energy trapping formation and the 100 words mantra to bind it. Su Zhiqian, who was bound, had an ugly expression on his face. He said, "Your strength has indeed exceeded my expectations, but you will definitely die today." As he roared, he looked up to the sky and roared, "Star ruins descend." Boom. In an instant, countless meteors fell from the starry sky. They smashed toward Su Zhiqian. As these meteors fell rapidly, they shattered the divine energy trapping formation and the runes that Night Sorrow had set up. Then they entered Su Zhiqian's body one by one. His aura continued to expand. After a dozen breaths, Su Zhiqian's aura had become close to the 4th grade of the half-step supreme realm. After increasing his strength to such a level, Su Zhiqian's body bloomed with endless starlight. At this moment, he squinted his eyes and said coldly, "You will die a worthy death if you can force me to use my ultimate battle form. You don't have the ability to kill me." Night Sorrow, who was floating in the void, let the golden heavenly halberd and the desolation war halberd float on his left and right. He started to burn his 3 bloodlines to increase his strength. He knew that he could not be careless when facing Su Zhiqian. The strength that Su Zhiqian had displayed was not inferior to Lin Hai, who was at his peak. He was even more threatening than Lin Hai. This was his battle instinct. Ah! Ha! The ignorant are truly fearless. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Su Zhiqian suddenly laughed wildly. As he laughed wildly, he burned the power of the stars in his body, increasing his aura by several times. Then he used a unique skill. Infinite Star Void Technique. This Infinite Star Void Technique was different from the attacks that he had used before. After being used, it was completely invisible, colorless, odorless, and formless. However, Night Sorrow clearly felt that danger was approaching. What's going on? While Night Sorrow was pondering, he had a strong premonition that he did not want to see. At this moment he had already opened the sea serpent's eye, but he could not see where Su Zhiqian's attack was coming from. Naturally, he could not think of a way to break it. He could only secretly raise his defense. He set up the 100 words mantra and divine essence trap array around himself and summoned the infinite void cauldron to suppress the void. Then he summoned the silver dragon void shield that Ji Xian had given him to prepare to block the opponent's attack. Seeing Night Sorrow's performance, Su Zhiqian's face immediately revealed a disdainful smile. He sneered, "All the light in the world is starlight. It's everywhere. How can you block it? Let me tell you, even if you take out that ancient coffin from last time, you will still be killed in an instant today." Star Annihilation. After Su Zhiqian shouted the 2 words, Star Annihilation, all the light around Night Sorrow began to shatter. It formed wave after wave of explosions, bombarding the void with countless black holes. Although Night Sorrow's defense was amazing, he was still heavily injured after being hit by such an attack. However, unlike what Su Zhiqian had expected, he did not summon the ancient coffin to block it, and he was not killed in an instant. What? Infinite Star Void Technique, Star Annihilation. Even I can't kill you? Seeing that Night Sorrow was injured but not defeated, Su Zhiqian was surprised. However, he then silently chanted the spell again, preparing to use the second move of the Infinite Star Void Technique, Chaotic Stars. At this moment, Night Sorrow sneered, "Do you think I'm a wooden dummy who will not fight back after being attacked by you? In your dreams." After shouting, Night Sorrow shot the Icefire Motherchild Spear at Su Zhiqian. At the same time he used the Divine Vitality Trap Array, Virtuous Virtue Trap Array, and the 99 Tao words to seal him within. Once the Icefire Motherchild Spear was used, everything around him, including the starlight and the void, was frozen. At the same time that everything was frozen, the terrifying flames burned again. Faced with these 2 extreme attacks, Su Zhiqian's body was shattered before he could even unleash his next move. Night Sorrow had been lying in wait, and when he used his strongest attack, it immediately had the effect of killing. What? Master was killed in an instant? How is this possible? This is absolutely impossible. Seeing that Night Sorrow killed Su Zhiqian in an instant, Huang Ji and the others were completely dumbfounded. Chapter 3386. They felt that even if Night Sorrow could defeat Su Zhiqian, it shouldn't have been like this. He had killed Su Zhiqian in one hit. This was simply a mental torture to them. They couldn't accept it at all. What do we do? Are we going to welcome death too? Huang Jie and Su Zhiqian's subordinates were restless at this moment. They didn't know what to do. They stood there in a daze. Fight against Night Sorrow? They knew they didn't have that ability. This Night Demon's strength is really extraordinary. I'm afraid this is the difference between Supreme Stage and non-Supreme Stage. Ji Xian, who had been watching the battle for a while, lamented. As someone who didn't have Supreme Stage aptitude, he felt sad. Look at what Night Demon is doing. At this moment, the shadow reminded him. Hearing this, Ji Xian immediately looked at Night Sorrow and realized that he was preparing his next attack. Seeing that Night Sorrow had defeated Su Zhiqian and was still preparing his next attack, Ji Xian was puzzled. Although he didn't see through Night Sorrow's intention, he knew that he wasn't preparing such an attack to attack Huang Jie and the others. This was because Su Zhiqian's subordinates, including Huang Jie, didn't deserve such treatment. It's simple. This is because he sensed that Su Zhiqian hasn't completely fallen. The shadow said in a cold voice. What? Su Zhiqian hasn't completely fallen? Ji Xian was puzzled. Maybe this is the difference between Supreme Stage and non-Supreme Stage aptitude. You might not be able to sense it. However, Night Sorrow and I can sense that the shattered Su Zhiqian is being reborn at an extremely fast speed. The shadow explained coldly and continued, it seems that Su Zhiqian also has Supreme Stage aptitude. Is that so? Ji Xian was a powerhouse who was half a step to Supreme Stage, but he couldn't sense that Su Zhiqian was regenerating. He immediately frowned and felt very uncomfortable. The truth was just as the shadow said. Su Zhiqian was indeed regenerating and Night Sorrow could sense it too. When he finished preparing his attack, Su Zhiqian's figure suddenly appeared in the starry sky. He was riding on a warhorse that was galloped by starlight and held the star-ruined spear in his hand. This spear carried with it an endless amount of starlight, as if it was going to hit all the light in the starry sky. Under the situation where the void darkened several times, it fiercely struck where Night Sorrow stood. I've been waiting for you. In the face of Su Zhiqian's attack, Night Sorrow roared and used the Icefire Motherchild spears once more. Using the Golden Heavenly Halberd and the Desolate War Halberd, he unleashed an extremely fierce attack. When the attacks from both sides collided, the surrounding space was instantly shattered. Many mountains and pavilions in Lutian Academy were razed to the ground. S attacks. Yi Shan and Su Zhiqian, who had been hit by this attack, both retreated 1,000 kilometers. Su Zhiqian's Night Sorrow's was not much better. He was barely standing in the void. Then both sides did not stop and immediately launched the next round of attacks. In the battle, Night Sorrow's Liken's bloodline was much stronger than Su Zhiqian's. Gradually he gained the upper hand in the battle again. At this moment Huang Ji, who saw that Su Zhiqian was in a passive position, suddenly shouted, "Everyone follow me. If we don't attack, Master will die again." Su Zhiqian's reactivation had made them very excited. However, seeing Night Sorrow gain the upper hand again, they panicked. Naturally, they could no longer sit still. Don't you realize the difference between us? Seeing Huang Ji and the others attack, Night Sorrow scolded disdainfully. He waved his hand and used the void-shattering palm. Just this move alone caused Huang Ji and the others to be severely injured. After being sent flying, Huang Ji and Su Zhiqian's other subordinates could not stand up again. At this moment, Night Sorrow summoned the Eternal Divine Tower and said, "Little Five, put them all in. Wait for my orders." "Okay, no problem." Little Five responded and continued, "That's right. We got a half-step Supreme Realm 3rd grade spear from Lin Hai. Do you need it?" "Not now. Wait until I take down Su Zhiqian." Night Sorrow, who was fighting against Su Zhiqian, was already at a disadvantage because he attacked Huang Ji and the others. Su Zhiqian, who had revived, had already used the Star Ruin's fatal spear. This move was something he had comprehended when he was resurrected. It was much stronger than the moves he used before. Facing this move, Night Sorrow immediately used the 99 Tao Words formula and used the Divine Essence Trapping Array and the Virtuous Trapping Array. He also used the Silver Dragon Void Escape in front of him. Then he used the Ice Fire Spear. This move was essentially the divine spear, but it contained the ice and fire attributes, so it was much stronger than the divine spear. Bus. When Night Sorrow used the ice-fire spear, Su Zhiqian's Star Ruin's fatal spear was already in place. After the two sides collided, Night Sorrow's Silver Dragon Void Escape was instantly shattered. The Divine Essence Trapping Array and the Virtuous Trapping Array were also instantly broken. As for the 99 Tao Words formula, the one used for defense did not have much effect either. Night Sorrow, who was supported by the Tao Words formula, clashed with Su Zhiqian. He was once again evenly matched with Su Zhiqian. Both sides retreated tens of thousands of miles. How is this possible? Even the Star Ruin's fatal spear, which I just comprehended, can't kill him? How am I supposed to fight him? He realized that the Star Ruin's fatal spear that he had just comprehended could not kill Night Sorrow, only severely injuring him. Su Zhiqian's face was filled with disbelief. However, he did not lament too much. After recovering, he flew towards Night Sorrow's position. He wanted to take advantage of Night Sorrow's injury to continue inflicting heavy damage on him. Through the Nirvana earlier, he had already understood that he could resurrect infinitely. According to Su Zhiqian's plan, as long as he continued to inflict heavy damage on Night Sorrow, he would be able to win. Night Sorrow, be careful. He seems to have the intention of perishing together with you to fight you. Little Five, who was controlling the Eternal Divine Tower, immediately reminded Su Zhiqian when he saw Su Zhiqian's performance. I know. He lost this battle because he relied too much on his own resurrection ability. Night Sorrow, who was facing Su Zhiqian, sent a voice transmission to Little Five and began to fight with his opponent again. After Su Zhiqian chose to sacrifice himself to injure his opponent, Night Sorrow quickly gained the upper hand. Seeing that Su Zhiqian was about to be killed, he sent a voice transmission to Little Five. I can already tell that Su Zhiqian can resurrect, but this time I won't give him the chance. When he is severely injured again and is about to die, put him into the Eternal Divine Tower. Chapter 3387. Alright. He thinks that he's invincible just because he can keep reviving. But he doesn't know that the Eternal Divine Tower can consign him to eternal damnation. Little Five replied confidently and began to wait for the right time to come. Not long after, Night Sorrow dragged his injured body and severely injured Su Zhiqian again. He sent him flying with a single blow. Su Zhiqian, who was sent flying, even had a smile on his face. It was as if he did not care about his injuries at all. I wonder if you can still smile so confidently in a few breaths' time. Seeing Su Zhiqian's indifferent smile, Night Sorrow laughed coldly and sent a telepathic message. Little Five. Do it. Alright, I've been ready. Little Five responded and controlled the Eternal Divine Tower to send the severely injured and defenseless Su Zhiqian into it. How can this be? How can this be? You're despicable. After being sent into the Eternal Divine Tower, Su Zhiqian was completely stunned. He did not expect Night Sorrow to have such a trick up his sleeve. Despicable? Is it not despicable to let you revive endlessly and become stronger to kill me? After sending Su Zhiqian into the Eternal Divine Tower, Night Sorrow immediately sent a telepathic message. Then he said, I know that you can revive endlessly because of the Star Ruins. Hand it over and I can spare your life. You want my Star Ruins treasure? Dream on. Hearing this, Su Zhiqian immediately said in disdain. Alright. In that case you can live in the Eternal Divine Tower forever. Little Five, seal him in a space where only one person can stand. If he shrinks, you shrink the space. Night Sorrow knew that Su Zhiqian was not that easy to deal with and immediately handed the task to Little Five. He also told Little Five that he must not let him die. Don't worry. Once he enters the Eternal Divine Tower, his life and death will be controlled by us. It's impossible for him to die even if he wants to. Little Five promised. Alright. I'm relieved to hear that. Sai, if I'm not wrong, this Su Zhiqian has the aura of the Supreme Realm. He's the type that I'm looking for Senior Changxing. Unfortunately, Senior Changxing has already passed away. After Night Sorrow lamented, he sensed the people around him. There were still a lot of people watching the battle. There were about a dozen of them. This included the 3 vice deans. What made him feel astonished was that there seemed to be very terrifying existences by the side of these 3 great vice deans. As for these people, he only sensed them briefly before withdrawing his god soul. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Little Seven comforted him. Night Sorrow, you don't have to be sad. I think supreme longevity is extraordinary. He shouldn't die so easily. Who knows, he might appear in front of us one day. I hope so. Let's get out of here. Night Sorrow knew that there were some people in Lutian Academy with unfathomable strength. He immediately flew out of the academy. He planned to find a place to purify the second floor of the Eternal Divine Tower. When Night Sorrow's figure flew far away, Shadow looked at Ji Xian and said, "Night Demon has very strong perception. He just discovered my existence. This Night Demon seems to be very talented in all aspects. He doesn't have any obvious shortcomings. I hope he can become food for those few people. I'll be recorded as a meritorious deed." Ji Xian smiled as he looked in the direction Yi Shang had left. To him, the better Night Sorrow developed, the more likely it was that he would be devoured by the three Supreme Supremacies. If nothing goes wrong, he will definitely become a Supreme Supremacy. Just wait for your reward. After this battle, he might obtain the ability to revive infinitely. Shadow and Ji Xian looked in the same direction. He judged that Night Sorrow could obtain the secret of unlimited revival from Su Zhitian. Night Sorrow naturally didn't know about this. After he left Lutian Academy, he found a secluded forest and purified the second floor of the Eternal Divine Tower. Then he let Little Fool catch up with Little Five and the others. After chatting for a while, Little Five handed over the control of the Eternal Divine Tower to Little Fool. This was a rule they had formed over many years. Little Fool, who had obtained control, asked Night Sorrow and Little Five about the current situation. He suggested, "It's very difficult to save Big Brother and Third Brother now. Why don't we save Little Four? I know where he is." "Sure. If we can save Little Four, we can combine the 7 floors. We can at least reach the 4th stage of half-step Supreme Supremacy. If we can prepare an attack, it'll be even more terrifying." After Little Fool finished speaking, Little 7 agreed. Little 5 and the others agreed as well. Seeing that they all had the same idea, Night Sorrow smiled and said, "Little Fool, you lead the way." "Okay. But according to my latest news, he's currently in a large faction in the fog. Based on the current situation in the fog, this faction is very likely to be attacked by very strong students or elders. It won't be easy for us to succeed," Little Fool said at this moment. Now that the fog has become chaotic, it's not easy to determine his location. As long as there's a chance, we'll try our best to take him down. Hearing Little Fool's words, Night Sorrow immediately expressed his opinion. He knew that in the future battles, it would be impossible to not have a Supreme Supremacy Divine artifact. Now that there was a chance, he had to quickly collect it. "Okay. In that case, I'll control the Eternal Divine Tower and lead the way," Little Fool immediately said when he saw Night Sorrow's attitude was so certain. "Okay, it just so happens that I have something to do too," Yi Shang said before entering the Eternal Divine Tower. He began to cultivate the mist-breathing technique in the space 10 times larger than usual. After about 30 years, he successfully cultivated the fog-breathing technique to the 9th level. He was only 10% away from perfection. Just as he was about to break through the last 10%, Little Fool suddenly transmitted a message, "Night Sorrow, we're here." "Okay, I'm coming out." With only one more level to go, Night Sorrow was not in a hurry to cultivate. He directly came out of the Eternal Divine Tower. Looking at the surrounding illusion, Night Sorrow discovered that he was actually at the bottom of the sea. He immediately asked, "Is our target territory at the bottom of the sea?" "Yes. This is the most special territory. In this territory, everyone is from the Sea Tribe." The waiter explained and continued, "As for the person who attacked them, I don't know who it is. Well, I'll find out about these things. How far are we from the main city of the Sea Tribe?" Night Sorrow opened his sea serpent's eye and asked. "We're now in the territory of the Sea Tribe. They have 3 main cities, all of which are distributed in the 3 major oceanic trenches. I'm not sure which main city Little Four is in." Little Fool immediately replied. Hearing this, Night Sorrow nodded and said, "Okay. Then we'll look for them one by one." Then he began to search at the bottom of the sea. Chapter 3388. After that, Night Sorrow brought the Eternal Divine Tower and started searching the seabed. However, before he could find the trench, he encountered a team from the Lutian Academy. The team was led by 7 or 8 half-step Supreme Realm cultivators and consisted of 2,000 to 3,000 heavenly sovereigns. It was definitely a huge force. If such a powerful team were to attack the Night Demon territory, Jialin and the rest would not be able to defend it without Night Sorrow around. there's a familiar figure. After observing for a while without being discovered, Night Sorrow realized that there was a familiar person in the team from the Lutian Academy. He was Elder Ziyun from the Star Hall. When Night Sorrow was fighting with his opponent, he had expressed his goodwill to him. At this moment he was not standing in the main seat. Instead he was standing beside a young-looking cultivator. He seemed to be acting as the brains of the team. Their group stopped for a short while before moving in a certain direction under the command of Elder Ziyun. Their aura was very strong. They must be here to defeat the Sea Tribe and occupy the seabed. Their target will definitely be the main city. If we follow them, we should be able to find at least one main city. Looking at Elder Ziyun and the rest from afar, Night Sorrow thought for a while. In the end he did not go forward to greet them. Instead, he brought the Eternal Divine Tower and quietly followed behind the team. While following them, he kept a safe distance from them, which was the maximum distance that the sea serpent's eye could see. Night Sorrow. Keep a distance. Be careful of the young cultivator leading the team in front. He gives me a very dangerous feeling. After Yi Shan had followed behind the group for a while, the waiter reminded him. Although the young cultivator in front did not release his godly domain, and his aura did not leak out, he still felt a little shocked. That feeling could not be described with words, but he was wary. Could it be that the cultivator has some special means against divine artifacts? Night Sorrow looked at the cultivator from afar and did not sense any danger. He immediately suspected that the cultivator had some ability to restrain divine artifacts. That might be the case. If we fight, we must be careful. Anyway, I feel very uncomfortable facing him. The same goes for Little 5 and Little 7. The waiter said with lingering fear. He didn't dare to look at the young cultivator again. She suspected that he had some kind of ability that could restrain divine artifacts. Good. If a fight breaks out, I will take you into the Space Grotto Heaven. Alright, give me the half-step Supreme Stage Grade 3 Divine Weapon. At this moment, Night Sorrow suddenly thought of the Grade 3 Divine Weapon he had obtained from Lin Hai in the Eternal Divine Tower. Alright. Little Fool nodded and handed the divine artifact to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow held it in his hand and felt it for a while. It did not feel as close as the Golden Heavenly Halberd and the Desolate War Halberd. He was prepared to find an opportunity to throw it into the Golden Heavenly Halberd and refine it. But now that he was tailing the other party, he definitely could not do that. Thus, he kept the other party into his space paradise. In the following days, Night Sorrow followed behind the main group. Finally, after 2 months, they found the first trench. Very good, we found the trench. I can leave them and bring you to look for the city. If you sense Little 4, inform me immediately. The trench was very long and deep. It was almost boundless. After Night Sorrow discovered it, he distanced himself from Elder Ziyun and the rest. He found a secluded area and sneaked into the trench. He felt that if Elder Ziyun and the rest entered the trench, it would definitely cause a huge commotion. If they fought, he would have an excellent opportunity to sneak into the city and find Little 4's tracks. If he was too close to them, he might be exposed. And the development of the situation was similar to what Night Sorrow had expected. Elder Ziyun and the rest entered the trench with such a huge formation. The Sea Tribe was alerted immediately. Before they could get very far, the half-step leader of the Oceanic Tribe appeared in front of them with countless Oceanic Tribe members. Because Elder Ziyun and the rest were here to conquer the Sea Tribe, both parties did not even exchange a few words before they started fighting. The few half-step Supreme Stage experts of the Lutian Academy were very strong, especially the young cultivator who led them. He had a very strange treasure bowl in his hand that could suck in all the Sea Tribe's divine weapons. With him showing his power, the Lutian Academy quickly gained the upper hand and slaughtered the Sea Tribe members who blocked their way. Then, the Sea Tribe members who came began to summon the other Sea Tribe members in the trench. At this moment, Night Sorrow was not too far away. After realizing that the situation had become chaotic, he said, "Since the situation has become chaotic, we don't have to find our way." Then he transformed into the Sea Tribe's aura and appearance and captured more than 10 heavenly supremes of the Sea Tribe members. He started interrogating them in the Eternal Divine Tower. Soon he found out about the 3 main trenches and the 3 main cities of the Sea Tribe. It turned out that this trench was the only way to go to the other 2 trenches. It was usually called the first trench. If one wanted to go to the other 2 trenches, they had to pass through the main city of this trench. Moreover, the 4th level of the Eternal Divine Tower that he wanted to find was not in this trench. Instead, it was in the main city of the 2nd trench. Chapter 3389. In the chaos you might not even have the chance to break in. At the junction of the three trenches, not only are there powerful formations, but there are also half-step Supreme Realm experts guarding it. Unless the Sea Tribe is in danger of being exterminated, they will not fight. The Sea Tribe member captured by Night Sorrow said. In his opinion, the defenses at the junction of the trenches were impregnable and Night Sorrow had no chance to sneak in. Do the Sea Tribe and their formations have any special means to identify people? Night Sorrow continued to ask. He felt that there was a chance to sneak in. After all, now that there were people attacking, the Sea Tribe would definitely be in chaos. As long as there was chaos, many things would be easy to do. The Sea Tribe uses aura to identify friends and foes. The Sea Tribe members have a unique aura of the sea. This is something that other cultivators do not have and cannot detect. A Sea Tribe member rushed to answer. They were now captured and their lives were in Night Sorrow's hands. Naturally, they wanted to perform well. Okay, I understand. It seems that there is still a way to enter the second trench. Night Sorrow heard this and thought for a moment. Then, he refined a Sea Tribe member who had been looking at him coldly and had not spoken a word into a puppet. He entered the puppet with the Eternal Divine Tower and disguised himself as a Sea Tribe member. He then moved towards the junction of the first and second trenches. At this time, most of the Sea Tribe members were flying out in an organized manner. Obviously, they were preparing to support the other Sea Tribe members in the battle. It was not easy for him to move in the opposite direction. If not for Night Sorrow's outstanding movement technique, he would not have been able to enter the city even after the battle ended. After that, Night Sorrow used a few hours to reach the junction of the first and second trenches. However, there were people from the second trench constantly appearing in the first trench. Obviously, they had heard about the battle and were here to support. With so many Sea Tribe members swarming out, it was not convenient for him to enter the second trench. Although the junction of the first and second trenches stretched for thousands of miles, it was not possible for him to sneak in while moving in the opposite direction. If he was too conspicuous, he would definitely be exposed. It is chaotic, but they are still organized. It is not easy to sneak in. Hiding the body of the Sea Clan, Yi Shang frowned and looked ahead. As the battle in front of them became more and more intense, the number of Sea Tribe members that appeared increased. As for the Oceanic race, their numbers were simply too large. The number of heavenly sovereigns that had appeared had reached tens of thousands. As for earthly sovereigns, there were at least a few million of them. They rushed out from inside and completely occupied the passage. In that case, there was even less of a chance for him to pass. Why don't we go in from another place? From what I can see, the level of the defensive arrays around us isn't low. But we have the power to break it. Once we're done, we'll dig a hole and enter. At that moment, the male hammer of the restriction breaker hammer sent a voice transmission to Night Sorrow. The Oceanic race had set up a formation in a radius of several million miles to prevent others from entering. Moreover, if one wanted to enter these locations, they would have to break through thousands of miles of stone walls, which was very troublesome. However, for a powerhouse like Night Sorrow, passing through the stone walls was not too difficult. Alright, let's widen the distance and find a place to enter using this method. After the male hammer finished speaking, Night Sorrow felt that although this method was a little troublesome, it was the only choice they could make now. After thinking for a moment, he added, "We'll dig a few more passages so that it'll be easier for us to leave. The battle is so intense that it'll be difficult for them to leave their original positions. We have to ensure that we can leave unscathed. And I feel that as long as we can return to the first Oceanic trench, we can leave safely. After all, this place is very wide. However, the second and third Oceanic trenches are a little suffocating." Little Fool said. Just now, everyone had received information about the other two Oceanic trenches from the Oceanic race. They roughly knew what was going on inside. After that, Night Sorrow took the restriction breaker hammer and flew 2 million miles away, allowing them to start breaking the array. The restriction breaking hammer had done this many times, but this time, it encountered a lot of difficulty. Because the Oceanic race's array was relatively special, it was very difficult for them to break it. Seeing that they could not break it in a short period of time, Night Sorrow set up a concealment array and used half-step Supreme Realm 3rd stage materials to upgrade the Golden Heavenly Halberd. After 7 days and 7 nights of refining, he successfully upgraded the Golden Heavenly Halberd to half-step Supreme Realm 3rd stage. Seeing the Golden Heavenly Halberd upgrade, the Desolation War Halberd said enviously, "Boss, do you have any more materials? Why don't you upgrade me too?" Originally, It was a second-grade material and the golden heavenly halberd was a first-grade material. Now that it was surpassed, it was a little uncomfortable. "And I'll give it a try," Desolation said. Night Sorrow did not refuse. After all, he was sincerely following him and had played a big role in the battle. After thinking for a moment, Night Sorrow took out some extreme flame phoenix gold and added it to the Desolation war halberd. After spending another 7 or 8 days, the Desolation war halberd was also refined to half-step Supreme Realm 3rd stage. At this moment, the Restriction Breaker hammer still had not completely broken the array set up by the Oceanic race. Since he had nothing to do, Night Sorrow might as well upgrade the Blue Phoenix battle armor to half-step Supreme Realm 3rd stage. He had given a lot of extreme Flame Phoenix gold to his friends. Now he was using it to upgrade the Desolation war halberd and Blue Phoenix battle armor. Even if he could successfully purify the remaining extreme Flame Phoenix gold, it would not be enough to refine a Supreme Realm divine artifact. However, Night Sorrow did not feel that it was a pity. This was because only by continuously increasing one's strength could one better survive in this chaotic world. This would allow one to obtain more resources. After helping the Golden Heavenly Halberd, Desolation War Halberd and Blue Phoenix battle armor to avoid the lightning tribulation, they waited for the Restriction Breaker hammer for another 6 days. They had finally broken the Oceanic race's array. After breaking the array, Nighthammer smiled and said, "If we also advance to half-step Supreme Realm 3rd stage, the time needed to break the array will probably be reduced by 70%. Ah, is that so? In any case, there is still an array to break. Why don't I help you guys complete the upgrade too?" As they spoke, Night Sorrow used the remaining Extreme Flame Phoenix gold to help the Restriction Breaker hammer complete the upgrade. Then they began to dig holes together. After digging for about 6 or 7 days, they finally dug to the other end of the array. While the Restriction Breaker hammer was busy, Night Sorrow dug a few more holes. As for the Restriction Breaker hammer, it was just as they had said. After advancing to half-step Supreme Realm 3rd stage, the speed of breaking the array was much faster. This time it took less than 7 days to break the array formation. He transmitted his voice to Night Sorrow. "Night Sorrow, the array has been broken. Do you want to enter now?" "Okay, I'm coming." Night Sorrow replied and quickly rushed back to where the Restriction Breaker hammer was. From here he entered the second Oceanic trench. Following the path pointed out by one of the Oceanic race, he slowly advanced towards the 4th level of the Eternal Divine Tower. However, just as he approached, he saw a patrol team led by a cultivator at half-step Supreme Realm 3rd stage near the 4th level. Chapter 3390. This patrol team was obviously in charge of guarding the 4th level of the Eternal Divine Tower. Even though the battle had been going on for so many days, they were still here. At this moment, there were still sea tribes from the 2nd and 3rd Oceanic trenches rushing towards the battle. Isn't the number of Oceanic species too much? There are so many half-step to the Supreme Realm, Heavenly Sovereigns and Earthly Sovereigns. How did the elders and students of Lu Tian Academy manage to hold on for so long? Little 20 was puzzled when he saw so many sea tribes rushing to support them. Logically speaking, with so many sea tribes participating in the battle, no matter how weak they were, the people outside would not be able to handle them. However, they continued to support them, which meant that the battle was not over yet. Maybe there's a super expert among them that the sea tribes can't handle. I suspect that it's that young cultivator. Night Sorrow speculated as he waited. He was waiting for the number of reinforcements to decrease. When it decreased to a certain extent, he would attack the patrol team. Just like that, half a month's time passed. After another half a month, the number of sea tribes reinforcements from the 3rd Oceanic trench finally decreased. At this moment, Night Sorrow finally swam towards the 4th level of the Eternal Divine Tower. As he approached, the half-step to the Supreme Realm Sea Tribe leading the patrol team shouted, "What are you doing here instead of fighting? Do you have designs on the demonic tower?" "Yes, I want to take this tower," Night Sorrow said as he took out his Golden Heavenly Halberd and Baron Thorn Battle Halberd and used Mother of Ice and Fire on the Sea Tribe. This was one of his more powerful attacks. After using it together with the 99 Words mantra and the Divine Vitality Trap formation, it instantly severely injured the half-step to the Supreme Realm Sea Tribe. Oh no! Enemy attack! Someone has entered the 2nd Oceanic Trench. After being severely injured, the Sea Tribe immediately roared. At the same time, the Sea Tribe behind him transmitted messages to the others, asking for reinforcements. However, most of the sea tribes had already gone out to fight. There were not many who came to support them. There was only one half-step to the Supreme Realm Sea Tribe guarding the Third Oceanic Trench. Knight Sorrow, who was facing them, fought very smoothly with the help of all his divine weapons. In less than an hour, all the sea tribes in front of him were killed. After that, he successfully purified Little Four and combined him with the other parts. When the 7 parts of the Eternal Divine Tower were completed, his cultivation level immediately rose to the 4th stage of the half-step Supreme Realm. He was only 1 and 3 levels away from rank 5 and Supreme rank. Night Sorrow. After we advanced to the 4th stage of the half-step Supreme Realm, we gained many new abilities. After the combination was completed, Little 7 immediately sent a voice transmission. Oh, what abilities do they have? Night Sorrow asked curiously. In the past battles, Night Sorrow had only relied on the Eternal Divine Tower to launch attacks, collect enemies, or accumulate cultivation resources. We can do what the restriction-breaking hammer did just now, and we can do it much faster. Little 7 said proudly. Oh, are you saying that the current Eternal Divine Tower has the ability to break through formations? Night Sorrow said as he looked at the small tower floating in front of him. Upon hearing this, Little 7 continued, yes. Furthermore, as long as it's a formation of the 4th grade or below, we can instantly destroy it. Now, if we want to leave this place, we can go in any direction. We actually have such an ability. If I had known, I wouldn't have dug so many holes. As Night Sorrow spoke, he looked around and released his godly soul power to sense the surroundings. He realized that this place had become an empty city. He suddenly felt that he could do something. Elder Ziyun and the others were like mantises stalking cicadas, while he could be the Oriole behind. He could snatch the resources of the Sea Tribe. With this in mind, Night Sorrow immediately asked the Sea Tribe members in the space, do any of you know where the treasure vaults in the 2nd and 3rd Oceanic Trenches are? Sir, I know. There's no treasure vault in the 2nd Oceanic Trench. The treasures of the Sea Tribe, other than some on the Sea King, are all in the 3rd Oceanic Trench. In addition, can we follow you in the future? As soon as Yi Shang spoke, a member of the ocean race stepped forward. In fact, they had already realized that the territory of the Sea Tribe would likely be occupied by others after today. They might as well rely on Night Sorrow directly. All right. On account of your good performance, you can follow me in the future. After this war, the Sea Tribe will likely cease to exist. I will be harming others by releasing you. Night Sorrow spoke as he walked towards the 3rd Oceanic Trench. Hearing this, the dozen or so Sea Tribe members who were captured hurriedly expressed their gratitude. They were only mediocre heavenly sovereigns in the Sea Tribe. Under normal circumstances, they should have died in the battle. Unexpectedly, they were captured midway and kept their lives. It was a blessing in disguise. At this time, the guardian of the 3rd Oceanic Trench had already been killed by Night Sorrow. Hence, he easily entered the 3rd Oceanic Trench and found the treasure vault of the Sea Tribe according to the guidance of his subordinates. The location of the treasure vault of the Sea Tribe was very secretive. It was in the deepest part of the Oceanic Trench. One had to endure the pressure of the huge whirlpool and dive hundreds of thousands of miles. After observing the whirlpool for a while, Night Sorrow looked at the Eternal Divine Tower and said, according to Little 7, it shouldn't be a problem for the Eternal Divine Tower to pass through this whirlpool, right? Little Fool immediately replied, of course. After all, in essence, we are refined from Supreme State materials. It's just that we need to combine all of them to activate the Supreme State. Facing the pressure of the whirlpool, it's not difficult at all. Okay, then bring me down. Night Sorrow said and entered the Eternal Divine Tower. He let Little Fool control the Eternal Divine Tower and bring him down. He seized the time and studied the last word of the 100-word mantra in 10 times the space. However, when the Eternal Divine Tower passed through the whirlpool and arrived in front of the Sea Tribe's treasure vault, he still couldn't figure it out. He immediately gave up on his research and came out of the Eternal Divine Tower. With the help of the Eternal Divine Tower, he successfully broke open the door of the Sea Tribe's treasure vault. He began to collect the treasures inside. In the Sea Tribe's treasure vault, the accumulated resources were not inferior to the Lin clans. There was also some precious extreme ice mysterious iron. Like the extreme flame phoenix gold, it could be refined into supreme state divine weapons after purification. It was definitely good stuff. After Night Sorrow and the Eternal Divine Tower collected these things, Little Fool immediately asked in confusion, why didn't the experts of the Sea Tribe keep all the resources with them? If they stay in the treasure vault, aren't they waiting for others to harvest them? Hearing this, Night Sorrow asked, "Do you think it's more likely for a person to die or for an entire tribe to be wiped out?" "I understand. If they are placed in the treasure vault, as long as the sea tribe isn't attacked, the resources are absolutely safe." Little Fool immediately understood the logic behind it. Chapter 3391. It wasn't that the leader of the sea race, the Sea King, didn't have the ability to collect the items. However, if he brought all the resources of the clan with him, the risk would be too great. It would make people cower in fear. "Yes, there aren't many people like us," Night Sorrow said with a smile and continued, "Now that we have the items, let's leave quickly. Okay. If we wait for them to finish the battle, it won't be easy to leave." The waiter said and kept Night Sorrow, preparing to enter the vortex again. However, at this moment Night Sorrow suddenly frowned and said, "Not good, someone is coming. I'm afraid that the Slaughtering Heaven Academy has completely defeated the sea race. Then they're heading straight for the treasure vault." No matter how great the losses were on the Slaughtering Heaven Academy's side, the remaining strength was something that Night Sorrow could not resist. He sensed a little and discovered that more than 10 cultivators had arrived. These cultivators were all half-step Supreme Realm. "We're stuck here. I'm afraid it won't be easy." The waiter immediately frowned and said, "We choose to leave from another direction. You control the Eternal Divine Tower and find a new route." After fusing 7 levels of the Eternal Divine Tower, it could break through all formations below the 4th grade of the half-step Supreme Realm. Although the treasure vault was below the vortex, there were also formations around it. However, the level of the formation was at the 4th grade of the half-step Supreme Realm, so it was not enough to restrict the Eternal Divine Tower. Okay. However, the formation of the 4th grade of the half-step Supreme Realm will limit our speed. After saying that, the waiter brought Night Sorrow to a random location in the treasure vault and sneaked in. Once again he activated his persuasive mode. Using such a method to leave was something that the sea race would never have imagined. Less than 10 breaths after the Eternal Divine Tower left, the subdued Sea King came out of the vortex with more than 10 half-step Supreme Realm experts. And among these dozen or so half-step Supreme Realm experts, there were actually Andrew and Nangong He. It was precisely because of the two of them that the people from the Slaughtering Heaven Academy successfully defeated the sea race. As soon as they came out of the vortex, Nangong He said, "Jinghai, the extreme ice black iron of the sea race can be used to forge Supreme Realm divine artifacts. You will be the one to collect it later. In the future, when you advance to the Supreme Realm, you can use it to forge a divine weapon." "Thank you for your care, Auntie." Upon hearing this, Jinghai smiled. He was the injured young cultivator with the magical treasure bowl that Yi Shiwen had seen on Night Sorrow. The treasury seems to have been taken by someone else. At this moment, the captured Sea King suddenly spoke. With Andrew and Nangong Lotus present, even a 4th stage half-step Supreme Realm King like him didn't have the ability to resist at all. What? Someone beat him to it? Impossible, this is absolutely impossible. Hearing this, Nangong's expression immediately changed. With a roar, he released his divine soul to check the treasury. After probing for a bit, she immediately became furious. "Sea King, did you do something to it?" "No. I've been fighting with you guys all this time, so how could I have the chance to attack the treasury?" The Sea King said helplessly. He was a king of the sea. Now that he had been reduced to a prisoner, it was quite pitiful. "Auntie, I don't think he was lying. Because my cornucopia senses that there are traces left by others here." At this moment, Jinghai opened his mouth and said. He looked at the wall and said, "If I'm not wrong, he left through the wall. Let me check." As soon as Jinghai finished speaking, Elder Purple Cloud summoned a purple cloud mink that was overflowing with spiritual energy. When the purple cloud mink was summoned, it began to distinguish the aura in the treasury. Not long after, it reported to Elder Purple Cloud. "The aura here belongs to Night Devil. I've come into contact with Night Devil before." The purple cloud mink remembers his aura. After Elder Purple Cloud received the information from the purple cloud mink, he immediately said in surprise. He had never thought that the aura in the treasury belonged to Night Sorrow. Night Devil? That little bastard not only came out of the Chaos Burial Star region, but he also came to take our resources. He's courting death. Let's chase. Hearing the name Night Devil, Andrew immediately became furious. Originally, he thought that Night Sorrow would definitely die in the Chaos Burial Star region. He didn't expect that not only did he come out, but he also destroyed the Lin family. At this moment, he appeared here to pick up the treasures. Are we going to use this hole he created to chase after him? Hearing Andrew's words, Jing Hai immediately asked in confusion. It was obvious that he wasn't willing to use this method to chase after him. Andrew glanced at Jing Hai and said, "The extreme ice mystic iron is prepared for you. If you don't want to chase after him, we naturally don't care. I heard that this night devil was the first to attack a large family and occupied the territory of the Lin family. The current him can run away, but the temple can't run away. It doesn't matter if he leaves temporarily," Jing Hai said confidently. "Are you confident in destroying Night Devil? You have to know that Nangong and I won't help you if you attack the people of Lu Tian Academy." Andrew naturally knew what Clearwater meant. He said coldly, "Don't worry. Night Devil's territory can't be compared to the sea race at all. I naturally have the confidence to deal with him. There's no need for the two elders to do anything." Jing Hai looked at the hole in the wall and said disdainfully, "Besides, this kind of scoundrel is not magnanimous at all. How can he be a match for me?" "Jing Hai, you can't be careless against this Night Devil. He's the same as you, with the aptitude of the Supreme Realm. In the entire academy, he can be considered a top-notch existence." Seeing that Jing Hai was very confident, Nangong he immediately instructed. From her point of view, the fact that Night Sorrow was able to survive after being targeted by them and even achieve something of his own was proof of his luck. "Don't worry. As long as you give me some time, my 10 generals and I will easily wipe out the Night Devil's territory." After Nangong he finished speaking, Jing Hai continued to speak confidently. "Okay. Then I'll leave the matter of the sea race's territory and the Night Devil to you. We'll leave first." Nangong he glanced at Jing Hai and continued. At this time Jing Hai continued, "I hope Ant can keep the Sea King." "Okay. I'll give it to you." After Nangong he handed the Sea King to Jing Hai, she looked at Andrew and said, "Let's go." "All right." Andrew nodded and left with Nangong he. After the two of them left, Andrew immediately sent a voice transmission. "Who do you think is more likely to advance to the Supreme Realm and become food for the Night Devil?" "I think both of them have a chance. Jing Hai has a higher chance. After all, he's already at the peak of the 3rd grade of the half-step Supreme Realm. Among the younger generation he's already one of the top few existences. And he has many methods." Nangong he judged. "I hope so. I always feel that Jing Hai is a little too proud. This might make him weak." Andrew looked at Nangong he and said, "Yes. Yes." Chapter 3392. In Andrew's opinion, compared to Night Sorrow, Jing Hai was too pretentious. Under normal circumstances, such a pretentious person was not as strong as those who had no taboos. In the end he would be a breath away. "Don't worry, it's fine. Don't forget that their cultivation bases are completely unequal. Moreover, in the battle against the Lin family, they only had 4 half-step Supreme Realm warriors. On Jing Hai's side, not including himself, there were still 10 half-step Supreme Realm warriors. The Night Devil definitely won't be able to withstand it." Nangong Lotus said confidently. Between Night Sorrow and Jing Hai, she still favored Jing Hai. "I hope so. If it weren't for the rules set by the 3 Supreme Venerables, we wouldn't have attacked the Night Devil directly. I would have killed him long ago. How can the two of us be suppressed by that old thing?" Andrew said with an unhappy expression. He still bore a grudge against the trouble Night Sorrow had brought him. At this moment, Nangong Lotus smiled and said, "What's the hurry? Don't forget we still have a trump card." "That's true." Andrew smiled and nodded. "Our 2 trump cards will definitely advance to the Supreme Venerable Realm. This is something that Ji Shen can't compare to." "Yes, that's right. So you can calm down a little. Just watch the show calmly," Nangong Lotus said with a cold expression. While they were talking, Night Sorrow had already left the 3rd trench under the lead of the Eternal Divine Tower. He left in another direction and successfully left the ocean. After leaving the sea, Xiao Er asked, "Night Sorrow, where are we going next?" "There are a few choices. First, we can search for the 3rd floor. Second, we can help Senior Yen find his bones. Third, we can return to the Night Devil territory and distribute the resources to everyone. Among these few things, the last one should have a higher priority," Night Sorrow replied. In his opinion, it was better to distribute the resources of the sea race to everyone first. "Okay. Then I'll control the eternal divine tower and fly toward the night devil territory. You can cultivate in 10 times the space. After Xiao Er said this, he flew in the direction of Night Sorrow's territory. At this moment, Night Sorrow sent a voice transmission to Little Seven. Little Seven. How's Su Jintian? Su Jintian is still very persistent. According to our settings, in terms of his senses, he has spent 5,000 years in a narrow space. But he has no intention of compromising. Little Seven replied telepathically. You guys think of another way to get rid of him as soon as possible. The power of Star's power. Night Sorrow had once absorbed Star Ruin milk from the Yanheng clan, so he could use some Star Ruin power. If he could obtain something related to the Star Ruins from Su Jiqian, his strength would definitely increase greatly. Hearing this, Little Seven immediately replied, Don't worry. Since we can't trap them, let's release our inner demons. Alright, you guys, hurry up. I'm going to continue practicing the fog breathing technique. When I reach 100% mastery, I will climb the mountain of flames. Then I'll complete the hidden mission. Let's see what rewards I can get. After saying this, Night Sorrow began to cultivate in 10 times the space. He wanted to cultivate the fog breathing technique to the 10th level. Little Seven and the others continued to attack the stubborn Su Jintian under his orders. Under these circumstances, Xiao Er controlled the eternal divine tower and smoothly flew to the center of the Night Devil territory. Friends Gathering City. Yunyi was the one who named this city. It was located in the old nest of the Lin clan. After arriving, Xiao Er sent a voice transmission to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow, are you coming out to meet your friends or continue cultivating? Meet my friends first. Night Sorrow's research on the fog breathing technique was close to success. But he still came out of the eternal divine tower and found Yunyi. Brother Yunyi, please gather everyone together. I have resources to distribute. Oh? Resources? We haven't used up all the resources we got from the Lin clan. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Yunyi was a little surprised. He couldn't think of where Night Sorrow could get resources from. Yishang looked at the surprised expression on Yunye's face and said, Hee, when I was searching for the 4th floor of the eternal divine tower, someone was attacking the Oceanic tribe. I was lucky enough to obtain the treasury of the Oceanic tribe. What? The entire Sea tribe's treasury? Then we're rich. Yunyi exclaimed. He had heard of the Sea tribe and the Sea king. But after his exclamation, Yunyi said worriedly, But you took all the resources that some people wanted. Will they take revenge on us? It's possible. No matter what, gather everyone together first. I'm at a critical juncture in my cultivation, so I won't say much. After saying that, Yishan returned to the eternal divine tower and continued to cultivate the fog breathing technique. Yunyi followed his instructions and began to gather Shen Yen, Jialin, Hasa, and the others. At this moment, everyone was no different from a feudal lord. They all had their own territories. And the size of their territories wasn't small at all. After receiving the notice, they gathered everyone and rushed to Gathering Friends City using the teleportation portal. While they were rushing, Night Sorrow was completely immersed in his cultivation. In the process of cultivating the fog breathing technique, he seemed to have become one with the fog and gradually became familiar with its aura. Why do I feel that the so-called fog aura is basically slaughter and blood? How did it form? In the process of cultivating, Night Sorrow began to become interested in the nature of the fog. He kept pondering in his mind. As he gained a deeper understanding of the fog, he completely mastered the 10th level of the fog breathing technique. After successfully cultivating the 10th level, what complemented each other was that his understanding and usage of the dense fog aura had become much smoother. He thought to himself, now that I've mastered the fog aura so thoroughly, there shouldn't be anything to be afraid of when I meet the Supreme Exalt's clone. After distributing the resources, I'll head to the Mountain of Flames and climb to the top. I wonder if I'm still considered a newcomer. Just as Night Sorrow was thinking, Little Fool suddenly transmitted his voice. Night Sorrow. Most of your friends have already gathered. Do you want to go out and meet them? Of course I'll go out. Night Sorrow replied and asked, How's the interrogation of Su Jiqian? Although he hasn't given in yet, he shouldn't be able to hold on for much longer. We can feel the change in his mood. Little Fool replied. Very good. You guys continue. Hearing this, Night Sorrow responded with satisfaction and came out of the eternal divine tower. Then he distributed all kinds of resources to his friends. He armed everyone again. Then he left the Night Demon territory again and flew to Lutian Academy. Chapter 3393. When he arrived at Lutian Academy, Night Sorrow immediately flew towards the Mountain of Flames. At this moment, Lutian Academy was completely empty. He didn't see a single living person before he arrived at the foot of the Mountain of Flames. The entire academy has become an empty city. Territories and resources are indeed enough to drive people crazy. Night Sorrow, who knew that most people had gone to attack the major factions to snatch the corresponding resources, muttered to himself. He stood at the foot of the Mountain of Flames and activated his spirit power to investigate. He found that the Mountain of Flames was no different from before, so he started climbing. His current strength was much stronger than when he first entered Lutian Academy. The strength of his body was completely different from before. He didn't encounter much of a challenge when he started climbing. He easily reached the peak. However, the pressure of the flames suddenly erupted at this moment. Night Sorrow originally thought that the test of the Mountain of Flames was too simple because he reached the peak easily. However, in the blink of an eye, scorching flames emerged from the summit and started burning fiercely. The strength of these flames was far from what the flames below could compare to. He immediately felt as if he was being refined by them. It was extremely uncomfortable. These flames are incredible. What's going on? Do I have to endure these flames to successfully reach the peak? Night Sorrow thought to himself as he was being burned in the flames. Thinking of this, he took out the hidden mission scroll and checked it. He found that the mission was indeed not completed, which confirmed his thoughts. In the flames, he released his god territory and continued to endure. After Night Sorrow released his god territory, the feeling of being refined by the flames disappeared. Instead, it was replaced by a strong sense of comfort. It felt as if he was soaking in a hot spring. It was very gentle. You're quite capable. Try an even more powerful flame. At this moment, an old voice suddenly sounded. The surrounding red flames suddenly turned dark green. After the flames turned dark green, the temperature increased by more than 10 times. These dark green flames are indeed very powerful, but they can't stop me. After the flames increased the temperature by so much, Night Sorrow roared and ignited his Phoenix bloodline and Scale bloodline. He also activated the Treastrimsa Battle Mystic technique and the Destruction Mystic ability. After fully activating his status, he was able to resist the terrifying flames. This time, after the dark green flames were resisted, they immediately became gentle, and a comfortable feeling rose up again. Furthermore, being burned by this gentle flame, Night Sorrow immediately felt that the strength of his body had increased. He could even resist the netherworld heavenly flame. Now, I'll let you experience the might of the Supreme Exalted Bone Flame. Seeing that Night Sorrow was able to resist the green flames, the old voice spoke again. The power of the Supreme Bone Flame? Could it be Senior Yan's bone fire? Upon hearing the old voice's words, Night Sorrow began to speculate. What happened later proved that his guess was correct. After the old man finished speaking, the Mountain of Flames suddenly turned into a huge skeleton. Above his bones, a pale white flame was burning. These flames did not look very strong, but being burned by them, Night Sorrow immediately felt immense pressure. There was a burning sensation around his body, and he felt like he couldn't hold on any longer. Indeed, anything related to the Supreme Venerables was not simple. Ah, how is it? You can't hold on any longer, right? Seeing that Night Sorrow was in great pain, the old voice spoke again. At this time Night Sorrow replied, "No, I can't." After speaking, Night Sorrow activated the green phoenix armor on his body. While using the armor to resist the flames, he let the armor absorb the essence of the flames and was prepared to directly refine it to the fourth stage of the half-step Supreme Venerables. At the same time, he released the power of virtue that was concealed by the fog. After the power of virtue appeared, the aura of the Supreme Bone Flame was greatly isolated. At this time Night Sorrow used the 99 True Words technique. It was used to reduce the intensity of the flames and increase his defense. However, even so, Night Sorrow still felt very uncomfortable under the pressure of the Supreme Bone Flame. At this time he circulated the Leakin Supreme bloodline in his body, allowing it to rapidly heal his injuries. Under the condition of continuous recovery, although Night Sorrow could not withstand the Supreme Bone Flame, he still managed to endure the burning of the Bone Flame. Seeing that Night Sorrow could endure the Supreme Bone Flame, the old voice spoke. The pale voice suddenly spoke, "Well done. I'll count you as a success." As he spoke, he put away the Supreme Bone Flame. He appeared on the mountain peak. However, his face was blurry. Night Sorrow used the sea serpent's eye to observe and found that the old man's face was still blurry. The aura on his body also seemed to be unfathomable, giving off a mysterious and powerful feeling. He immediately asked in confusion, "You're the Supreme Venerables?" Because the other party was very likely to be the phantom of the Supreme Venerables, he did not address him as Sir. Hearing this, the old man smiled and said, "You don't need to address me as Sir. Makes me feel very good. This is your reward, take it." After speaking, he took out a fragrant green fruit and threw it to Night Sorrow. "What fruit is this?" Night Sorrow, who received the fruit, asked in confusion. "This fruit can allow you to advance to the half-step Supreme Venerables. In addition, I'll also give you the Supreme Bone Flame here. Collect it yourself." After the old man said this, he completely disappeared into the void. "That's it? Why is it different from what I expected?" After the old man disappeared, Night Sorrow was immediately surprised. According to Deputy Dean Ji Shen's words, he would reach the top of the Mountain of Flames and meet the avatar of the Supreme Venerables. He was a little nervous. However, he did not expect the avatar of the Supreme Venerables to take out the reward so easily. In fact, Night Sorrow did not know that the Supreme Venerables did not care about his identity at all. He only cared about whether he had the aptitude to advance to the Supreme Venerables. Now that he had verified that he had the aptitude to advance, he immediately gave him a reward. His purpose was naturally to cultivate him and then devour him to improve his strength. "Congratulations, mission completed." Just as Night Sorrow was puzzled, the scroll on his body flew out on its own. It congratulated him. "Thank you." Night Sorrow immediately looked at the scroll with the sea serpent's eye. At this time, a half-meter-long gold leaf suddenly flew out of the scroll. The scroll said, "This is the cultivation method to advance to the Supreme Venerables. It's your reward for completing the hidden mission." The cultivation method to advance to the Supreme Venerables? The reward is actually something so precious? Hearing the sound of the scroll, Night Sorrow was surprised again. He did not expect that the avatar of the Supreme Venerables and the scroll would give him such a good reward. Chapter 3394. Night Sorrow felt that the treatment he received was a little too fake. Supremacy Mia was an extremely cruel person. He was the one who caused the suffering of the people. Now he was giving away such good resources, cultivation methods, and the Supreme Venerable Bone. This was completely incomprehensible. No matter how he thought about it, it didn't make sense. I think Supremacy Mia wants to cultivate Supreme Venerable Bone. Does he have some ulterior motive? This matter is indeed very strange. Little Fool also transmitted his voice. This matter was simply too bizarre. Supremacy Mia was definitely not a merciful person. When he first appeared, he was not pretentious at all. He casually gave away so many good things. And the behavior of the scroll was exactly the same as Supremacy Mia. When these two things happened at the same time, anyone would feel that something was wrong. As the saying goes, one who is unaccountably solicitous is hiding evil intentions. We have to be more careful with Supremacy Mia. We also need to purify the things in front of us. As Night Sorrow spoke, he took the Eternal Divine Tower and left the Lu Tian Academy. He found a deserted mountain and began to deal with the few things he had obtained. In half a month's time, he purified the green fruit, the golden leaf, and the Supreme Venerable Bone several times with the power of merit. After he felt that there was nothing wrong, he swallowed the fragrant green fruit in the Eternal Divine Tower. This fruit was fragrant. When he ate it, it also had a hint of fragrance. It was not too sweet, but it made his body feel very comfortable. Comfortable. I've never felt like this before when I've taken other elixirs. That comfortable feeling was very enjoyable. Night Sorrow felt as if he had been reborn. After spending about a year in this state, he felt that his body had been transformed to the extreme. Then he began to absorb and refine the fruit's medicinal power. As time passed, Night Sorrow began to get closer and closer to the half-step to Supreme Venerable Bone. In the end, the energy he needed had reached the level of perfection. He only needed a little more comprehension. Just as he was thinking about how to comprehend the half-step to Supreme Venerable Bone, the fruit core he spat out suddenly emitted a strange light. As the light bloomed and entered Night Sorrow's body, he instantly comprehended the secret of the half-step to Supreme Venerable Bone. He had successfully stepped into it. Did I take a shortcut? Will there be any problems? Little Fool asked in surprise when he saw Night Sorrow use this method to step into the half-step Supreme Realm. I'm not sure if there will be any problems. However, his strength had indeed increased. Now that I've entered the half-step Paramount Realm, The gap between me and some experts should be closed. Now all I have to do is wait for my tribulation. Night Sorrow left the eternal divine tower. Looking at the sky filled with thunderclouds, he immediately felt high-spirited. At this time, although he was worried that extreme destruction supremacy had done something to him, he felt that since he was already here, there was nothing to be afraid of. Then, under the witness of the eternal divine tower, he successfully passed through the lightning tribulation. He had completely advanced to the first grade of the half-step supreme realm. I need to consolidate my cultivation. It shouldn't take too long. After that, we will search for the third level. Night Sorrow sent a voice transmission to the eternal divine tower, then began to stabilize his half-step paramount realm cultivation base. He had just stepped into this realm and needed some time to get used to it. Sure. If we can find Little 3, we will be able to advance to the 5th stage of the half-step supreme realm. When the time comes, we will have new abilities. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Little 7 immediately said happily. The others were the same. They hoped more than Night Sorrow that the eternal divine tower could be gathered quickly. After all, when they were combined, they would become a supreme realm divine weapon. The supreme realm was the limit of the fog area and the eternal supreme realm. It was very impressive. If they succeeded, it would be of great help to Night Sorrow. Don't worry. I will do my best to reunite you quickly. At this time, Night Sorrow had just entered the half-step supreme realm. He felt that his resonance with heaven and earth was even stronger. In the process of familiarizing himself, he felt that he was beginning to become stronger. After cultivating for a while, he asked, "How is Su Zhiqian's situation?" This Su Zhiqian seems like he can't hold on any longer every time, but he forcefully endured it. He is definitely a tough guy. Little 5 immediately replied. He had always been the one in charge of interrogating Su Zhiqian. However, he had never been able to completely subdue him, which made Little 5 a little unhappy. Think of a way to increase the strength. His star ruins are very useful to me. Night Sorrow instructed and continued to cultivate. After adapting to his realm, he began to work on the unique skills, secret skills, and divine powers that he had mastered. He changed the Trayastrimsa Heaven's secret combat technique to the Trayastrimsa Heaven's secret combat technique. This was achieved by using the power of the star ruins. It increased the power of the Trayastrimsa Heaven's secret combat technique by about 40%. In addition, he had also perfected the Ice and Fire Mother-Child Spear. Although there were no major changes, their power had increased. If I fight an ordinary third-stage half-step supreme realm now, I might be able to easily crush them. After completely cultivating, Night Sorrow said with a smile. At this moment he felt comfortable all over. Every breath he took resonated with heaven and earth. This feeling was as if he was about to ascend to immortality. It was very special. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Little Fool smiled and said, "This is only first-stage half-step supreme realm. When you step into the supreme realm, it will be as if you have become one with heaven and earth. That feeling is truly comfortable. It is very beautiful. I look forward to the arrival of this realm. However, even if you can advance to the supreme realm, you can't let your guard down. I keep feeling that the 3 supreme realm supremes don't have any good intentions. They are brewing a conspiracy. The recent chaos in the fog area must have been designed by them. I wonder what they are plotting." Night Sorrow said with a frown. He could feel that the 3 supreme realm supremes were doing something on purpose, but he was not sure what their intentions were. The truth is indeed not optimistic. Even if you can advance to the supreme realm, with Yan Jizuan and Yan Hengshi, you might not be a match for the 3 supreme realm supremes. The pressure that the 3 of them give off is too strong. Little 5 continued. They already knew that the 3 supreme realm supremes were in good condition from Yan Hengshi. They did not know what grade they had advanced to. Yan Jizuan had been recuperating, Yan Hengshi was in a soul state, and Night Sorrow had not advanced yet. The gap between him and the 3 supreme realm supremes was not small at all. Hearing this, Night Sorrow said with a frown, "If only Senior Changxing was still here. This Su Zhiqian in my body is a target for him to possess." That's right. This guy is so stubborn. He might as well directly possess him and control everything. Little 5 said unhappily. He really did not have a good way to deal with Su Zhiqian. At this moment, Night Sorrow still wanted to say something. However, he suddenly received a voice transmission from Jielin. After hearing it clearly, Night Sorrow's expression immediately changed. www. Chapter 3395. From Jielin's words, Night Sorrow knew that Jinghai was leading 10 half-step to Supreme Realm warlords to attack the Night Demon territory. On Jinghai's side, there were not only 10 warlords. There was also the Sea King and many other members of the Sea Clan. In total, they had more than 10,000 heavenly sovereigns. The number of earthly sovereigns was even more than 1,000,000. At this moment, the people from the Night Demon territory were already trapped in Friend City. Relying on the power of the array and a few half-step to Supreme Realm experts, they were barely able to deal with the enemy. The situation was very bad. Jinghai, 10 half-step to Supreme Realm warlords and the Sea King, who is a half-step to Supreme Realm. Jielin and the rest will definitely not be able to resist. I have to hurry back. After receiving the news, Night Sorrow told the Eternal Divine Tower about the matter and gave up on his original plan. He stepped on the road back to Friend City. He knew that the reason for all this was because he had taken the resources from the Sea Clan's treasury. Naturally, he did not want to implicate his friends. As Night Sorrow was rushing back, Jielin, Yunyi, and the rest were all standing on the tall walls of Friend City. Facing Jinghai's army, they did not have a good way to deal with him. They could not attack at all. Jinghai had also used some means to cut off the transportation device so that they could not use it to leave. Everyone was trapped in the city, unable to escape. Sigh. Even if Brother Yi returns, it will not be easy to deal with the situation in front of us. Not only is Jinghai unfathomable, but the Sea King is also very terrifying. The other 10 warlords' auras are also very strong. They are suppressing us in all aspects. Jielin said helplessly as she looked at the many enemies in front of her. She was a half-step to Supreme Realm 2nd stage, Yan Hongmei had just advanced to 3rd stage, Qingbao and the Sea King were also 3rd stage. As for the 2 half-step to Supreme Realm experts of the Ape Clan, one was a 2nd stage and the other was a 1st stage. Although they did not look bad compared to Jinghai's people, they were not enough. In addition, the number of heavenly sovereigns and earthly sovereigns that Jinghai led was crushing Friend City. No matter how one looked at it, they had no hope of winning and were in a desperate situation. Unless a miracle happened. At this time, Master Wan Jian said, I believe that as long as Brother Yi can make it back in time, there is hope for everyone. Everyone had encountered many desperate moments, but every time he was able to lead everyone to safety. I think it should be the same this time. Yes. I hope Brother Yi can come back soon. Yuan Fengxue unconsciously touched her belly. She was obviously pregnant. When everyone was shrouded in a haze. The people from the Clear Sea were also studying how to take down the Night Devil territory with the least amount of losses. From their point of view, victory was already within their grasp. Therefore, how much damage they suffered became the biggest problem. At this moment, Gathering Friend City was clearly protected by a formation, so they had been trying to break the formation. During this process, the 9th General said, Master Jinghai, since we have nothing to do, why don't I go challenge them? He was looking for a half-step leader in the Night Demon territory to engage in a death match. If we kill one of them, they will be less of a threat when the war starts. That's a good idea, but do they dare to accept it? Jinghai sneered as he looked in the direction of Gathering Friend City. From his point of view, these people in front of him were all ant-like existences. Don't worry, Master. A one-on-one battle is the best choice for these people who are surrounded. They will definitely choose to accept the challenge. The 9th General glanced at Gathering Friend City and said confidently. That makes sense. However, in my opinion, you might not be able to gain the upper hand against those people. Jinghai thought for a moment and said, 4th General, you will fight. With your strength as a 3rd stage half-step Supreme Realm, you should be able to crush all the people on the other side. Yes, Master. After the 4th General was called out, he left the formation and went forward to challenge them. The 9th General immediately suffered a blow. At this moment, Jinghai smiled and said, Little 9th, I'm protecting you. When they start fighting, you will find that you are no match for them. Thank you, Master. After being discovered that he was emotional, the 9th General immediately replied in fear. He did not dare to disobey Jinghai at all because Jinghai was too terrifying. That kind of powerful pressure was not inferior to that of the 3 vice-chancellors. Seeing that the 4th General had started to challenge them, everyone on the Night Devil territory's side immediately began to discuss how to deal with it. After discussing for a while, they felt that it was better to fight now than to fight after the formation was broken. Therefore, no matter what, they should choose to accept the challenge. After the discussion was more or less over, Yan Hongmei said, The cultivator who is challenging us is a 3rd stage half-step Supreme Realm. Although I have just advanced to 3rd stage not long ago, I have the ability to fight. Let me fight. At this moment, she was considered the strongest person in Gathering Friends City, so she was unwilling to pass on this responsibility. No. Now that you are the strongest person on our side, you can't go out to fight so easily. It's better for me to fight. Qing Bao, who was slightly weaker than Yan Hongmei, said. He was also a third-stage half-step supreme realm, the same as the fourth general's cultivation. Moreover, he had recently received a large amount of resources from Night Sorrow and his strength had increased. This all right. Hearing this, Yan Hongmei replied. She knew that there were more difficult opponents waiting for her, so she had no intention of rushing to fight. Then I'll have to trouble brother Qing Bao. Jialin, who originally wanted to fight, also said. She felt that her strength should be about the same as Qing Bao's, and the difference was not big. Anyone could fight. The others also felt that Qing Bao was more suitable. Finally, Black Bao said something to everyone and flew out of Gathering Friends City, standing in front of the fourth general. He said, "Let me fight you." Ah, happy death. Seeing Qing Bao fly over, the fourth general sneered with killing intent. You're just a servant, what are you pretending for in front of me? Qing Bao ridiculed disdainfully, then released his own god realm and took out his divine artifact. The fourth general, who was called a servant, immediately flew into a rage. He roared, "Fight in the void." Alright, who's afraid of who? Seeing the fourth general fly into the void, Qing Bao immediately followed. Then a tit-for-tat battle began above. Both sides quickly fought for dozens of rounds, and the result was a tie. At this moment, Elder Purple Cloud walked to Jinghai's side and said, "Lord Jinghai, who do you think will win this battle? Why do I feel that their strength is basically the same?" It's simple. When enemies meet on a narrow path, the courageous will win. Their strength is 50-50. Who will win in the end will depend on courage and luck. Elder Purple Cloud said casually as he observed Jinghai. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.